the Monday show on Thursday, on Friday, because it is now Friday, April 24th, 2026. And I'm just going to go ahead and get a few things organized here, and we'll be ready to rock. Oh, Stark Vine is on right now. I didn't know his channel on Rumble was called Home of Stark Tower, but it is. Look, it says right here, Home of Stark Tower, as he's playing game. But I need to find my own Rumble channel right now so that I can have. Hey, what up, Wade? I totally forgot about you, to be honest. Like, legit. I'm gonna clean my desk this week. I know your Game Boy is buried here somewhere. We're gonna be looking at my desk today because I have a model kit to assemble. We got a model kit of the James Webb Space Telescope. Are we live on Rumble? Okay, we're live on Rumble. Good. I'm gonna get the Rumble chat up. I'm gonna do the things I do to make sure the chat comes up on screen because I always like having the chat on screen. And then we'll be ready to rock.
Bombardment incoming. Planetary control achieved. Bombardment incoming.
favorite NES games are video response to Mike Matei, so I'll do my honorable mentions here. So the first one is Palamedes. This one is really good. Mike Matei put this in his video, and when I look at it, it's like Puzzle Bobble, but you match domino matching. You have to go up where you're going up, and also um, it plays like Zelda and like a Tom and Jerry. It feels like more like Hanna-Barbera cartoons. School. It's very hard. There's 60, I believe. Good music. And the gameplay's just like Zelda and Crystal is very smooth. Hello. So this is my
When did I mute? How long have I been muted? It is nice being muted, isn't it? Okay, well, we're back now. So, don't know how long we've been muted, but I guess I'll go from the top. So, I was just saying, I was thanking DJ Play Nice for telling people to share out the stream. And then I was mentioning, because DJ Play Nice, the whole stream. That's insane. That's wild. Yo, that is wild. I should have like a Sony. I should find my Sony voice recorder and just stick it over here so I could like have a backup audio track for these occasions. But anyway, boy, oh man, I had such sage words to say about Karumi's video game collection, yo. So I was just saying. So I was thanking DJ Play Nice for telling people to share out the stream. Then I remembered a week ago, Karumi Good Gamer was kind enough to share out my stream in his community tab. So I was like, oh, we should definitely. Okay, that's not what I was looking for. Good thing I'm not showing. I just used the browser autocomplete, and man, what just came up on the screen is hilarious.
So, comrade, I heard
Oh
that
God,
you
no, I
want
don't
to
want
invest
to do
in North.
that. Okay, I'm trying to type here. Karumi Good Gamer. So as I was trying to say was, I'm trying to find the right thing. Here we go. So as I was saying, DJ Play Nice said you should share people in your community tab. So actually, if we scroll down here, a week ago, this guy, oh, a rooftop. This guy actually shared out one of my videos. It's probably buried. It's like 1 day ago. He shared out like 5 things in a day. So I'd have to dig down to find it. But yeah, literally a week ago, one of my streams was here. And I've never shared out one of his in my community tab, or I haven't done it in a while. But as I was saying before, was he's like sort of the comedic troll. I mean, look at that. That's the Will Smith, Chris Rock slap. Erica slaps Agate like how Will Smith slapped Chris Rock. No, Erica isn't Agate's friend. I just want to prove my point. Yeah, it's 5 days ago. Okay, we're almost there. 5 days, 7 days. All right, 7 days. I streamed 7 days ago. Oh, look, it's one of those memes where the guy's like, nah. Oh, that's 11 days ago, so it's going to be up more. I know I'm going to find my thumbnail here. Actually, maybe not. Maybe it was 2 weeks ago. Let's go back in time more. Why don't we? Oh, I didn't do that. It scrolled up automatically. That's annoying. I was going to show you guys the anime pic. Yeah, there we go. Oh, what the? Every time I hit the up arrow key, it goes to the top of the page. Isn't that annoying? Let's try that again. This time I'm not going to hit the up arrow key. Who is that? Next week, Monday Arcade, Tuesday and Thursday Psycho Oh yeah, he played Waluigi. He also played Wario for Virtual Boy. That was pretty good. I'm going to find the thing I mentioned. I'm not giving up. Oh, here it is. See? 13 days ago, the Monday show on Thursday. See, he did share my stream. So when DJ Play Nice was saying, oh, share it out in your community tab, I was like, I remember this guy put it on his community tab. And so apparently he never does videos where he's on camera. Yo, Game Gear Goddess L. I just saw a Kurumi video where he filmed with a camera showing a stack of Nintendo games. I was mind blown. I didn't know Kurumi even used a camera. Like, I thought he was like, I mean, he was on your stream with a microphone once. That was also kind of a rarity for him. I mean, he's got a cool voice. I don't know why he don't stream more with his microphone, but I mean, it's all good. But anyway, let's quick shout out to Lady Mist. Thanks for the turtle grub. I think we should play more of Snow's game at some point tonight. But let's take a look at the James Webb Space Telescope. So yeah, we were looking at these directions here for assembling it. And yes, DJ Play Nice, thank you for the shout out, yada yada yada. I just want to let you know, Snow Shepherd, that you and L can be in the game credit score for Arconian if you want. Just let me know what name you want to be represented in by a DM. Come on. DJ Ronnie G. DJ Ronnie G. What else? What else are you going to call me? You going to call me Ron? You going to call me Ronald? You could call me Ronald. I mean, I can give you my full name if you want, but I think DJ Ronnie G would be fine. If you want my full name for the credits, I mean, you can have it. Whatever's appropriate, you know. El's name is El Senizin, I believe, right? Same name as Nagi Sanzinin. Yeah, I lost a syllable there. So yeah, this is the model of the James Webb Space Telescope I downloaded. I lost the chat window, however, I can't see the chat. Oh, here it is. Let's put it on my left monitor for now. Hey, what's up, Orc? Oh, wait, that's not Orc. I mixed up Lady Mist and Snow Shepherd as Orc. Kurumi does show himself on camera. No way, that's bullshit. I don't believe that. Like 4 years ago. Yeah, exactly. I know you're not Nagi. You just share her surname when using email. But jokes aside, let's go into the planetarium. Planetarium. You guys ever see the South Park episode where they impersonated the Star Trek episode? Where the guy was using the brainwashing device? And they basically... It was a great parody. One of these days, we're going to do a side-by-side comparison of those episodes because it really happened. So this is the James Webb. And in realistic photo mode, you can't see any stars. You know when the flat earthers and the moon hoaxers always say these pictures of space are fake because you can't see any stars? Now, yes, this is obviously a simulation, so don't count. You didn't get a notification? Well, consider yourself notified. So basically, in real photography, this would happen. You would either adjust your camera so you could see the telescope, or you would crank up your exposure settings in order to see the stars, which I don't know if that really works in this app. Oh, I turned off the stars. Oh, they're on. Oh, there we go. Now we can see some stars. But basically, the telescope is going to be overexposed. So we're going to underexpose it again. And in this version, the telescope is dark. But anyway, so let's brighten it up a little bit and we'll explain. So I downloaded a 3D printable model of the James Webb Space Telescope. Am I getting motion blur again? I hate when this app does this. So interesting factoid. Is my microphone on mute? Good, it's not. Interesting factoid. In Space Engine, you got the visual style settings. And the stars are supposed to be sprites, but every now and then it reverts back to motion blur. So when you're panning around, the stars become all blurry. And they look brighter than they should, which is kind of, I guess, a consequence of motion blur. We fixed it. Now it's looking normal. Okay. So anyway, the James Webb Space Telescope. The model I downloaded, which I guess I can show you that too. I mean, it's not as interesting. It's a bunch of files in a folder. And in that download, you have a 3D print, you got components for everything. You can 3D print every hexagonal mirror. You got a part for these little struts here for the secondary mirror. This triangle here is actually the secondary mirror. So on the back or front of this plate is another mirror. So when light comes in, it hits the big mirror. It's shaped like a bowl. It focuses the light on the back of this thing here. And then light bounces off that middle piece. And it goes into here. And then in there is a camera, which is totally not here. I don't know if this is realistic. And that's where the pictures go. But in order for this telescope to exist, there's a sun shield. So this thing here is 5 layers of mylar that protects it from the sun. So the idea is the sun is on this side of the telescope. See? You can see the sun right over there. You got a solar panel. You got solar panels and radiators. I think that's the solar panel. And this might be another solar panel or radiator. So the idea is that you don't want sunlight getting into the telescope. You don't want it cooking the camera because the camera has a cooling unit on it that brings the camera to like sub-zero temperatures. And then this will be pointed at whatever it is, pointing at in space to take pictures. So we downloaded all of the parts. I have them in a box on my desk. I do want to say hello to Vintendo Vaults tonight. How you doing, Vin? Vintendo. I'm going to guess that. Short for Vintendo. All right, let me just adjust my web camera. I might have to blow up the font on this chat here. It's really in a bad angle. And I guess I got to get the Rumble chat on screen in case somebody shows up on Rumble, right? Oh, and yeah, Wade. Hello, Wade. I already have it. Oh, a radio telescope? Yeah, I am. I just finished the 3-body problem. I want to get a boat with a radio telescope on it, actually. That's what they have in a 3-body problem. It's not really a boat with a radio telescope so much as it is a boat with a get instructions from the aliens that want to invade us telescope. Very interesting series, actually. One of these days, I highly recommend you watch the Tencent series, the Chinese version of 3-body problem. It's really good. I think it's better than the Netflix version. Because on the Netflix version of 3-body, hey, my VTube is missing. Yeah, on the Netflix version of 3-body problem, they, basically made it more fast-paced, which is fine. Because when you go exactly with the book, you do run into that problem, right? Where, if you've read the book, it's going to be boring. It's going to be like, okay, I've seen all of this already. The other problem with that is, now it's not even interesting. I mean, it's not interesting, but also books are not always the best medium for TV. You need to make a script. That's what adaptation's all about. Like, what's that book called? Project Hail Mary. I'm gonna see that on IMAX in a few weeks. I'm gonna wait a little bit so that I can get a good seat because I'm gonna see it at the Lincoln Center IMAX. The Lincoln Center IMAX is, I think, the biggest, best view, IMAX screen in my area. You can go to Jersey Gardens to see Project Hail Mary, but you're not gonna be seeing it on a real IMAX screen. And I believe in a shopping mall where Elle goes to the mall, they have a IMAX, but it's not a 70 millimeter IMAX. Still, I think it's very good. I think it's a big ass screen. It probably has a really nice digital projector. But like between Oppenheimer, Dune, and Project Hail Mary, they put it on 70 millimeter film, and then they use a laser light source. Believe it or not, they use a laser projector to play the movie. So real quick, Slim Nim sent a link over here. I know Wade sent a link too. I think it's a stack of Nintendo games he has got.
This is Professor Stefano Mancuso.
Oh no.
For over 30 years, he has been studying plant behavior, and much of his work is centered around what he calls plant intelligence.
Oh,
When you
okay, so this is a bit of a side topic here. Do electric parts become less to wear and tear in space? Probably more. That's a very interesting question, Game Gear Goddess, because there was a guy named Scott Manley who did a video about that, and so on a few space telescopes, I think on the Kepler and the Hubble, they had problems with reaction wheels and gyroscopes, so they basically have a spinning disc. Let me see if I can find it. Well, basically, reaction, let's see here, wheels failing in space. Yep, it was the Kepler Observatory. So Kepler is a very interesting space telescope. I think it's one of those space telescopes that's been adapted from a spy satellite. So if you look at this telescope here, it looks like a freaking spy satellite. So they got like the KL-1 spy satellite. In fact, let's get a picture of a KL-1 spy satellite, or KL-10. I always... Let's see, KL-11 spy satellite. Okay, so actually, observe this one here. This is hilarious. This space telescope here. Let's get a picture of the Hubble real quick. We're gonna get a side-by-side picture of the space telescopes, because this is actually really funny. Well, it's not that funny. It's kind of funny. I think it's interesting. All right, let's see. It's going to resize the browser window. We're going to get this here. We're going to just resize it so we got less pillar box. Okay, so on the left is a KL-11 spy satellite. Testing 1, 2. I want my VTuber to move. Testing. Hey, VTuber, are you moving? Okay, good. Oh, yeah, so I think I still got a cat. Yeah, so a cat snuck into the house, and I put out food for the cat. I got a litter box because I was like, you're not shitting on the floor. I was like, you're going to be hiding on me. Oh, my God, it's fucking part of my language. What's up, Salty Traveling Sea? It's wonderful to see you. It really is. I love seeing you, man. I was thinking about you the other day. I was like, oh, Salty Traveling Sea. I miss that guy. I like him. No homo. I mean, you're a cool dude. But no, it's good to see you. Really. Non-stop radiation and exotic cosmic rays plus high-speed micrometeor debris make space a super fun place. Absolutely. And this is why it's like very prohibitive to travel to Mars. That's why like it's really for the best that they're doing the moon first, because like you can at least practice living in space on the moon. But like you go to Mars like straight away, you're not just 6 months away from help. You're not 2 months away from help. You're basically, okay, so whatever the shortest trip is, that only happens every 18 or 24 months. Like, basically, like, you travel to Mars when the planets are at their closest. Or when, how do I phrase it? Because obviously, you're not going to leave Earth when the planets are at their closest. Because as you start getting your acceleration up, the planets are going to start moving further away. So you obviously time it where you begin your trip as they're getting to that point, and you do all of the mathematics to get your orbits and all of those trajectories, right? But what you don't do is you got Earth and you got Mars, and you want to start your trip. Let's say, like, let's see, wait, which one's? Yeah, which hand is it? Yeah, so Earth is doing this, Mars is further out. So maybe what you would do is you would start your trip somewhere like here, and by the time your ship goes here, it'll intercept Mars. But if, let's say, this is the sun, and in fact, this will be the sun. What you don't want to do, why am I doing? I literally have Space Engine up. I literally have Space Engine up on my screen right here. We could just do it like this. I don't even have to try here. So why is Mars so damn prohibitive to go to? I mean, there's a lot of reasons. Where's the Large Magellanic Cloud? Okay, there it is. Labels. Labels are on. Okay. So bottom line is, okay, Earth is here. This is a great example. So Earth is over here on the top right, and Mars is on the bottom left. This would be a terrible time to start your trip to Mars because it would take way longer. So what you want to do is hit fast forward a little bit like I'm doing now. And you can see Earth is moving, but Mars is also moving. And you probably want to start your trip somewhere here. See how like Earth is a little bit behind Mars, but it's quickly gaining on it? But we're just going to go dummy mode here. We're going to pause it right here. So obviously this is a much shorter trip to Mars. I mean, look, now I could actually pan over to the right. That's a much shorter trip. I mean, I could zoom in on it. Whereas before, Mars was on the other side of the sun. The problem is, let's say you make your ass to Mars, and then something goes terribly wrong, and you need a rescue mission, you need some supplies, you need something. But by the time that shit hits the fan, you're like way the F over. In fact, look at that. Earth is already gone. So by the time shit hits the fan, Earth is over here and Mars is over here. You're up shit's creek without a paddle. That's it, man. You're fucked. Because the rescue mission to leave early would still take longer to get there. And exposing the crew to radiation for much longer. Because, I mean, even going to the moon recently was a big deal. Because even that is a period of time where you're outside the Earth's protective umbrella. That protective umbrella is like, what? Somewhere... oh, crap. I'm going sideways. In fact, yeah, it's somewhere over here. Look at that. We got the auroras right over here. It's like over here. And once you're like up here, you're like not protected anymore. In fact, definitely not protected anymore. Let's go to the side we can see. So there you go. That's like magnetic field territory right here. So what is that? What's the altitude on that? Altitude is 60 kilometers. So this would be like relatively safe magnetic field protected right here, about 200 kilometers up. But you go to the moon. Oh, look, Denobula. That's the planet from Denebola. Denobulans come from there. That's from Star Trek. The moon is, okay, it's obviously on the other side of the planet here. But that's a relatively short trip, and even that took quite a few days, right? And even with Apollo, I think during Apollo 11, they were like a week early, or like they finished their trip a week before a solar flare event. So not a good time, not a safe thing to do. So while there are hazards with dealing with the moon, you compound those hazards when dealing with Mars. So back to the original question Elle had, electronics. Yeah, so basically both Hubble and the Kepler Observatory. So it's funny here, though, Hubble and the Kepler both have spy satellite designs. You can literally see Hubble is literally a spy satellite donated by the NRO, National Reconnaissance Office, or something like that. I mean, it's like they're virtually identical. I just find it hilarious. And like the space shuttle was partially designed not for certain. It wasn't designed, like what you'll notice is the Hubble Space Telescope fits neatly inside the payload bay of the space shuttle. because the original plan was to use it to do maintenance on spy satellites or to launch spy satellites. And so that's part of the plan that they had originally. So, did you see the strange surface phenomenon on Mars? Like the dust being displaced and a darker, rougher, rocky lower level being exposed. Ooh, I think I did see that one a while ago. It's been a while, so I barely remember the details. But it sounds familiar because I remember there were a couple explanations or theories behind that. Some of it was just like the equivalent of quakes. Because I remember on the moon they observed some like straight lines on the lunar surface, and the theory was that there was some quaking or tectonic activity of some sort, something resembling tectonic activity. Obviously, it's not. I'm always reluctant to use the word earthquake when it comes to Mars or the moon. Like if it's the moon, it's a moonquake, I guess. I mean, maybe they call them earthquakes over there too, but that's my logic. But yeah, so you have that little quake, and then, you get that little ridge formation thing going on. So that's like one theory I heard. I don't know if it's the only theory. Also, I believe on Mars they have orbital images from the what do they call them? The Mars Orbital Surveyor or something like that, of like lava tubes and things of that nature. So that's pretty interesting and absolutely worth looking into even more. And we did a whole stream about the Cydonia region on Mars. Remember that one, where I basically spoke about the face on the Mars surface. To Mars, Alice. Oh, speaking of Alice, I do want to give a shout out to Alice. Hope Alice does tune in. Did you see? Oh, you read that? If you thought the moon was hard to get to, look how far away it is. Well, I can see. I'm looking at it right now. Looks pretty close to me. No, I'm kidding. Jokes aside, though, I did an interesting experiment with this recently. So my coworker was arguing with me about the Deep Space Climate Observatory. I still didn't get to the part about the reaction wheels. But yeah, bottom line is the Hubble and the James Webb both have reaction wheels. So let me see if I can find a picture of reaction wheels on these. So let's see here. Reaction wheels Hubble. Okay, so it looks like they have a weird zoomed in image here. Magnetic torquers, magnetometers, coarse sun sensors, so it's probably just like a sensor that like figures out where the sun is pointing. And then here we go, reaction wheels. So let's see if we can zoom in on that. We cannot zoom in on that. This is one of those websites where you can't blow up the image. That's annoying. Oh, come on. I tell it to open image in new tab. So it opens up the half of the image I don't care about. So over here is a couple of like weighted wheels. And when they spin, they have gyroscopic force. And they're actually able to spin these up and then rotate their axes in order to rotate or point the Hubble Space Telescope. And this is used for both keeping it on target and aiming it. And at this point, they used to have like I think 3 or 4 of them, and they're down to 1. And they're still able to manage with reasonable precision. But why did they fail? Well, Scott Manley did a really cool video about this, if I can find it. Let's see, Kepler reaction wheel. Here we, oh, this is actually a thing in a video game called Kerbal Space Program. You install these on your space vehicles in order to control their rotation or pointing angle. Oh, here it is right here. Great example. Look, it says, why so many spacecraft have failed reaction wheels?
To stabilize it in the roll axis and then using reaction wheels for the other 2 axes. So that was great, they were able to get extra life. But the thing about the reaction wheels on Kepler was they were suspect before they even launched. So these reaction wheels come from a company called
The trick with Mars is sending robots with kits to pre-build a habitat on the surface as well as a rescue vehicle in orbit. Absolutely. Even like having something like sending, hey, what up, Karumi? I mean, Moose Green. Good to see you. I was just looking at your channel before. My microphone was on mute. I was watching a video from 4 years ago where you were going through a stack of Nintendo games, and I was thinking, oh, man, I should play that game. What game was it? Willow? I don't really want to play Willow, but you said the music was good in that game. The other game you mentioned was a game I was interested in. What game was it, guys? Oh, you can't remember because my sound was off. We just run around the moon and back a few days. The trip to Mars is exactly, it's at least 2 months or 6 months. I think it might only be 2 months, but even that's like a freaking long time to be exposed to the hard radiation in space. Like, even for the Artemis mission, their plan was to take, if you noticed on the Artemis mission, they had like a large cargo net with like food and supplies inside of it. And basically, the plan was to build a fort out of that stuff, including the poop bags. So if you have a bag of poop, which luckily the toilet was kind of like not fully operational, so they did have poop bags. And that's actually great because, piss and poo are like the best. Although they do vent the poop, they do vent their urine into space. I think they reuse the urine bags, which makes me question, if you got a bag of urine and you hook it up to a thing and you vent it out into space, if you reuse the same bag, isn't the inside of the bag going to have some residual pee on it? I don't know. Maybe they rinse it. Maybe they have extra some water. They could rinse the bag a little bit, I guess. Or maybe they had like a lot of bags and they didn't have to worry about doing that. Maybe they just they put the bag into their garbage bag, But yeah, you can use anything with water is a good radiation shield. So the idea is that certain types of particles, especially charged particles, when they go through a metal hulled spacecraft through the metal layers of the ship, they actually put out even worse like stuff, if that makes any sense. And so if you use water, it basically absorbs that energy before it reaches you. So if they were in a situation where they detected higher radiation or more cosmic rays or charged particles, they would basically have to hunker down in a cocoon of their cargo and whatever else they had, their food, anything with water in it. Now, they do have water tanks, and I think a future spaceship design would involve using the water tanks as the radiation shield. So to do a Mars mission, you might make a Starship, which is the nickname for Elon's rocket, or the name of Elon's rocket, which is like a misnomer because it doesn't travel to the stars, but that's the name he gave it. And you would have like water tanks on the outer wall to serve a dual purpose. In Knights of Sidonia, the outside of the entire ship, it's a generational ship, is covered in ice, basically. And that's actually a perfect type of cosmic ray shield right there. And you can also harvest it as needed. Or let meteorites hit into your hull, it protects you, right? Ice is going to make a good layer of armor, and then you can still harvest it. Because the radiation that hits the water doesn't contaminate the water. It's not like ionizing radiation, I guess you would say. Boo, bang, straight to the moon. Okay, Jackie Gleason. Yeah, Slim Nim was doing a Jackie Gleason impersonation. The Mars dust displacement volcano and quake theories are flimsy, in my honest opinion. That's fair. I mean, I know so little about it, to be honest. I haven't really dug into it too deeply. And what the dust displacement, yeah, I get why that one sounds relatively flimsy. Marsquake, I mean, I don't know enough, so I feel like it's on the table, but I'm going by feelers right now, so that's not really science right there. Total Recall was correct. There are heating tubes for frozen water in the poles. What? Oh, yeah. The artificial technology constructed on Mars, or, ancient technology on Mars in Total Recall. Yes, I remember that. I just remember the scene when Arnold Schwarzenegger's eyes are popping out, and they're like all big, like, that shit was freaky. Willow is a brilliant game. I loved it all the way to start to finish. From start to finish. Interesting. Thanks, No. Water as a radiation blocker. Cool. Well, no, ice is cool. Water could be lukewarm depending on the time of day, I guess. But I'm just messing with you. I feel bad for those people on the top floors of buildings whose lots are directly below cell phone towers. Yo, right? Unbeknownst to them. Yo, I remember my friend saw like a news story. Apartments. Not a lot. I was wondering. I was like, what the hell is in a lot? I guess that's like, I thought you were using communist speak for apartment. I thought maybe like I know sometimes in Russia people call their apartments flats. So I'm thinking, oh, maybe that's another word for apartment. Maybe they call it a lot. Oh, I thought they were cubicles. I was like, oh, I guess that's like allocation. Even the floors below the top, not good to be that close, period. Yeah, I mean, those are microwaves, but it's not ideal, right? Like, I don't believe in the 5G hype, but at the same time, like, if you're on a upper floor of a building and there's a cell tower, because cell towers, I mean, at ground level, they're not dangerous to us. But if you're, like, if there's a building across the street and on the rooftop, there's, like, cell transmitters and receivers, and you're not at the ground level, you're here, it just seems like you're at the highest amplitude portion of that signal. Older cell phones were more dangerous. The analog cell phones, I think, were more brute force. That's why the guy, what was it, Gene Siskel? Remember Siskel and Ebert? I mean, Gene Siskel was one of the early adopters of cell phones, and it did not work out well for him, did it, right? He got, like, some kind of brain tumor. I think Sheryl Crow got a brain tumor, too, if I remember correctly. Obviously, if you Google it, they'll be like, oh, it wasn't from that. But, it's always the wealthier people back in the 90s who would have had the ability to use a cell phone regularly, whereas, like, most normal people, they would have been very careful about using cell phones. They would have been like, oh, I better not use this too much because it's cost me per a second. Hell, they used to charge you to receive a phone call. You used to have to pay to receive phone calls. Just auto spell BS. Oh, yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the word on this street. So let's get to this James Webb Space Telescope here. Let me just get my camera. Yeah, so we have instructions on my right screen. I'll put them on my big screen so I can see them in front of me. And so this tells us in the parts breakdown, we need to print whatever quantity. So we need to print 18 of the hexagonal tiles. That's what we have here. These are the mirrors. Yes, I do have glue for this somewhere. I might have to go get the glue. I do have glue for it, though. We have the stand or the frame. I think we're missing a part, actually. We're just going to YOLO it and see how far we get in assembling it. Okay, so let's see here. Now it's time to combine these two pieces. I'm going to grab the sandpaper and the glue. Assembly process. Step 1, the mirrors. Okay, this is the hardest part. In fact, we can start on this part right now. So we need to get the secondary mirror. I think that's the secondary mirror there. Now, I didn't label these, right? Oh, yeah, and by the way, if you put these too close on the print, I use the new Slicer software for printing the model. So these might have, some of these parts got stuck to each other. We're just going to see how far we get. I might not even get this done right now. I might just go and put my hands up and be like, screw it. But yeah, so to answer Elle's question, yeah, so obviously, so one of the tricks they do is with electronics in space, they'll use older microprocessors. When the Hubble went up, they used a computer from the late 60s, early 70s, and that was because that was space certified hardware at the time. And then during the first Hubble servicing mission or the second Hubble servicing mission, they upgraded the computer on it, and at one point they put a 486 on the Hubble, and then later on they put a more powerful computer on the Hubble. And when you send a Mars rover to Mars, they also sometimes use more outdated computer technology, because essentially if you go with like a 7 nanometer chip, it's going to be more prone to issues than say a 4 micron chip or something like that uses a larger circuit size, so to speak. Okay, so we got this side view of the mirror up here. And that's the mirror. So let me see here. I'm looking at this diagram. I'm going to try to match up these little empty dots here. Already dropped it. And I think we have to take these veins here. And I think there's going to be, let's see if we can get the sizes right. Okay, these beams here are part of the sun shade. These go on the bottom. think I'm missing a piece. I think I might have missed a part. So I may have to like if I don't find the missing piece, well, let's see what we do here. See, that looks kind of right. I think this part broke. I think this piece is literally missing a component, so we may not be able to assemble the full mirror. So I'll show you the theoretical version here just so you guys have an idea. Hey, where did I put the secondary mirror? Here it is. Alright, so I'm going to have to shove my scoring tool into that. Or a pin vise. Is that too wide? I'm just guessing here. I'm probably going to poke a hole to my finger right now. There we go. We took out the excess plastic. That tends to happen when you get a 3D printer. You can YOLO it, but it does come in handy to sit in front of the printer while it's printing and just like tweak it and do some reading online and just figure out like the right combination of settings. Okay, so definitely going to need to explore this part more. I think I'm going to reprint that part because I don't trust that assembly on the telescope. And like I said, I think we're missing a part here. So we're not going to assemble the secondary mirror. Frankly, this is the last part we should do because it's the most delicate part. But I'm glad I'm checking it because this is also the most sensitive part. And actually, last week during my stream, I showed you guys my 3D printer. And I started printing with it, and I ran into a little issue with it. We're jumping all over the place right now. So, this is the Klipper Moonraker user interface here. And last week when I started printing, it wouldn't heat up the printer. And it was all because I put in a new component, and the new component's power connector for the heating element was not yet connected. Oh, thanks. Yeah, you saw the picture of Bestie? I mean, a 3D printed picture of Bestie? Yeah. So, what's funny is I meant to take that home from work and I forgot it. So, there's now like a little cubby on the side of my desk with Bestie inside of it. We sent the probes to Mars. I'm going to go get my glue real quick. I'll be right back. What's up, awesome one? Good to see you. Alright, good. I found my B7000 glue. My coworker told me I should buy B6000 glue or something like that. I'm just like, but I already own this glue. It already works. Why would I buy a different glue? And it actually does work really well. He says the other one's better, but I'm like, well, this one works. I bought it for phone repairs, and actually, when I change the battery on my watch, I'm going to be using it. But anyway, this is the 3D printer I printed everything on. Hey, what's up, RS218? Good to see you, man. RS218 streams. His YouTube channel is RS218. He's live right now. My voice. We don't want to echo, right? So we were comparing the KL1 or the KL11 spy satellites to the Hubble Space Telescope because they use the same design, because they are the same design. And then Elle asked a question about reaction wheels. Or she asked if things in space are more prone to
When you
failure. I
first
lost.
hear this, you're probably thinking that
I
this
think
sounds
go away. Go.
absurd.
Stop. There we go. Scientists dropped this. Oh yeah, Slim Nimbus video. We should still watch that. We should watch that. So apparently I closed the video. Oh, here it is. So reaction wheels. So these are the things that got damaged. So I'm gonna skip through this real quick.
Ithaco, which was acquired by Goodrich, and now they're something like Universal Technologies or whatever. But the point is, their reaction wheels actually ended up on a lot of different spacecraft because they were very cheap. They were great quality, they were better than anything else available in theory, and yet they failed quite a bit on some very critical spacecraft. They failed on the Fuse spacecraft, Hayabusa, Dawn.
Oh, Hayabusa. Who remembers Hayabusa?
They failed on the Fuse spacecraft, Hayabusa.
That's the comet. That's the spacecraft that flew into the coma of a comet. I think it might have eventually a later version of this spacecraft landed on a comet.
Dawn, timed, Kepler. I mean, I think there's a whole
See, Kepler. I was actually trying to find a picture of a spy satellite that looked like Kepler. There are spy satellites that look like
list
Kepler.
out there. So when Kepler was about to launch, it had been obvious that this failure rate of these reaction wheels was anomalously high. So they said, yeah, let's take them off the spacecraft and send them back to the manufacturer for testing. So yeah, they did that, and they refurbished them, and they made sure they were in tip-top condition, and still they failed. But in the last year or so, a new paper has come out suggesting a reason for why all these
Was that
wheels
Miku?
were failing. Now, a reaction wheel fails when the friction on the bearing becomes too high and the motor has to
wanna
work
see that
too
picture
hard, is
again.
unable to spin it, and therefore is unable to operate the spacecraft. And there's many reasons for this to happen. Bearings are incredibly well-studied devices because, of course, they're core to red correlates the failures to use, but then continued and was restored to functionality. And they looked at about 12 of the strongest events. And 4 of these
Okay.
events
So whenever there is a solar anomaly or solar event, it correlates with failures of the bearings on the reaction wheels on these space satellites, space telescopes, on these exploratory missions.
happened at the same time as solar flares. And not just any solar flares, like they took the 20 most intense solar
There's
flares since 19...
So this is an example of an intense solar flare. So I want to get back to
1994.
what we were doing,
And
but I'm going to play this
4
video. I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick, so I'll be right back.
The 12
Sorry,
events
guys.
happened during these, and this was pretty long odds for accidental correlation. Similarly, in Kepler, one of its reaction wheel failures happened in July of 2012 during a coronal mass ejection. Now, initially it was thought that this was not connected because the coronal mass ejection was seen on Earth after the reaction wheel failed on the spacecraft. But thanks to all those space telescopes out there that are able to model the solar plasma and everything, it was obvious that the cloud of plasma had actually flown out and had hit the spacecraft first. Therefore, the correlation was, it was quite possible that this had caused this. So now the question is there an actual physical mechanism? Because of course spacecraft fail regularly when hit by these energetic solar events. Electronics are sensitive to plasma and radiation and stuff like that, but this is a mechanical device. How does a bearing fail because the magnetic fields are weird or the radiation is high? Well, their theory is to do with electrostatic discharge across the bearings. So the bearings have these little ball bearings in there, and there has to be a little gap, and of course there's a bit
Getting
of
my headphones.
lubrication. And because the ball bearings typically aren't touching both
So so differential voltage. So I'm going to guess that the voltage difference caused the ball bearing to lean onto one side. I'm guessing here, but it's been like 5 years since I saw this video. How long has this video been out? 7 years. Good. And that makes sense. So in other words, a bearing that's not supposed to make contact because the lubricant is supposed to kind of create that gap is prevented from preventing friction. So you got positive charge, negative charge, a significant difference in the charges. And so basically, yeah.
sides, if electricity wants to flow, it has to jump through the lubricant. So their
Oh my God, does it vaporize the lubricant?
theory is that under the right circumstances, if there's a high enough voltage, and they measured it at about 6 volts, an electric spark can jump across the ball bearing to the other side and create a little crater. A little
Oh my God, it cavitates the metal. That explains the failure rate of these reaction wheels, huh? And let's see here. Untempered martensite, Rockwell C-65. Rockwell also built the space shuttle. Instantly oil quenched. Untempered martensite, and then molten race material. So the bearing race is basically the wall that the ball bearing rolls along. But if you have this like crater here, you can see how it can like really gouge things and make it worse.
imperfection,
Lady
which
Mist.
will, of course, damage it. And if this happens continuously, then your thing can eventually break down. When it's spinning, it's also possible that the spark will then create like a small blob of, basically liquid, which will stick to the ball bearings and damage those as well. So that's one possible mechanism. Of course, it's not proven, and nobody can go out and examine these spacecraft. These are all in deep space, they're lost for now, so no one's going to know for sure whether that was a mechanism. Also related, that two of the interplanetary spacecraft that were affected by this, Hayabusa and Dawn, they both used ion thrusters, which, as you know, generate high voltages and ion flows and stuff like that. So another possible correlation there. But on the other hand, engineers, they look at these things and they say, well, it's not 100% sure that this works. After all, these reaction wheels are kind of self-contained assemblies. The casing should act as a Faraday cage, so it's by no means guaranteed that this is the effect. On the other hand, it may not need to be something to be concerned about, because since about 10 years ago, Ithaco reaction wheels have been using ceramic bearings, which means that the mechanism involving an electrical short
ceramic
across the
doesn't
bearing,
conduct.
won't matter anymore. And so far, none of those have suffered any failures. So it's possible that this thing has in fact solved itself, and it does answer.
So switching to ceramic bearings makes a difference right there. And I don't know why I didn't like the video. I guess I wasn't into liking videos back then. Or I liked it under my other account. Oh yeah, of course you're right. He said the problem, you cannot figure out what's going on at the actual moment without being there, and nobody can be there to see the actual moment and the stuff that you need to observe the actual moment. Or it's not even so much the moment. You don't need to be there at the moment something goes wrong. You need to be there when, like, if you take it apart. Let's see, one day we have space stations and space colonies and crap like that. At that point in time, yeah, we can go out there and get a look at these things and see. I gotta read the instructions for this. I think this goes in like this. Take apart the satellite when it's no longer working, the space telescope, and figure it out. But yeah, at this time, yeah, we can't do that. That is true. Let's get back to the document here. We're not going to assemble the secondary mirror because apparently I'm missing a part. And looking at this diagram here, I'm not even sure what part I'm missing. I mean, it looks like one of these struts goes on the top and one of these goes on the bottom. You'll notice that the bottom of this strut has a little thing sticking out. This one doesn't. So either they're two different struts or they were printed in the wrong way. But I think we're going to assemble the rest of this. So let's see here. After this is done, well, why would you... Okay, so let's take a look at the primary mirror. After he's done, put the piece to the side and take the mirror base, 18 hex tiles. If you printed them on a smooth surface, the shiny side... There should be a shiny side. Keep that on the outside. Ah, yeah, I did actually. I have a mirror on my printer bed, so we do have the shiny side. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna see if we can maybe glue these on. So yeah, just for reference, Now, because I used the new printing software, I probably should have just stuck with what I already have because you can see how part of these mirrors are not shiny. So I may find myself reprinting these just so I can get, you know, more consistent extrusion. But for now, we're going to YOLO it and assemble it. We're not going to do the whole thing. We're just going to do a couple of pieces just for kicks. And then we're going to, like, worry about the rest later. Now, as you can see, there's some stringing here. I put a dot of B7000 glue. Oh, I forgot to grab the sandpaper. Right, we got both used and unused sandpaper. We're going to stick with the partially used sandpaper. Partly because Slim Nim said to use used sandpaper, and partly because I don't want to overdo it anyway. Luckily, this glue is very easy to remove. And we do have some rough ground sandpaper. So that's brand new sandpaper. This is exactly the sandpaper Slim Nim said don't use. Now, I can use it on an inner surface, but yeah, I wouldn't use it on an outer surface. I'm being very gentle with it. Now we do have a crooked mirror here. We're just gonna put him on anyway. I'm gonna see if we can get these to line up the way that we need them to. Oh wow, that actually looks a bit already like, look at that. It's got that reflective look. That's actually kind of working. Now I'm gonna paint these eventually. Might even reprint the whole thing. I just want to see how it will come together. Yeah, it's kind of coming together. I would have done some hunting for it. Wait, what? Oh yeah, so the cat situation. So I did get the cat food and bentonite clay kitty litter today. Yeah, so funny story, guys. A cat broke into my house. A cat literally like went through a broken screen and entered the house, and then my dad yelled at the cat, and then he went hiding. And only reason I was like, oh, he must be gone by now. But then like he took the chicken bones out of the compost bag and like strewed them all over the floor by the door. So like, okay, he's still here. So I was like, okay, well, if he's gonna be eating, he's gonna be pooping. If he's gonna be pooping, I need a litter box. So I got a litter box and I got some kitty litter. And Elle recommended different types of kitty litters that don't get the scented kind, or this type will suffice. Anything with bentonite clay. So I was like, okay, that makes sense. So I grabbed some bentonite clay kitty litter, and I bought some wet cat food. I bought some good stuff. I bought the Friskies canned cat food. I figured the cat would enjoy that shit. Plus, if he's starving, he needs something nutritious, or she. So I got something nutritious. And, yeah, I put the food out. So what I'm going to do is I checked a few times, but now, wait, am I muted? Am I muted? Am I muted? Am I muted? Testing 1, 2. Okay, I'm not muted. Good. I thought I was muted. My audio level is a little bit inconsistent, aren't they? Remember, a cat chooses its owner, and the owner does not. I know, and that absolutely pisses me off because I think I'm stuck with a cat. I mean, I'm kind of excited a little. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little excited. I don't know if we fully accepted having a cat, but I mean, kind of seems like you can't force the cat to leave. I'll feel terrible if the cat leaves and then comes back limping because it got hit by a car. So, I mean, the cat chose. I put out the food. Okay, good. I'm not muted. But yeah, so I'm gonna go later on check if they touched the food. But not much else I could do, right? I mean, tomorrow I could sit down and kind of just see if the cat comes out. Maybe I'll sit down and read a book. Make sure I'm nice and low. And we'll take it from there. But my dad left the window open, hoping he'd get out. He'd leave, and that's cool. It'd be convenient. But I don't think he left. Because I thought he was gone days ago. And I mean, I put out, I didn't have any food for the cat. I had expired tuna and carrots. So I boiled up the carrots because apparently they got to be softened up. And I'm just sanding the hexagon a little bit, so because you can see the rough side has a little bit more texture than we want. So I want it to be a little flatter. But, I definitely want to make first contact with the kitty. So, I'll make myself look harmless and make first contact and take it from there. I really need to identify if he's someone's cat. So is he wearing a collar? Does it have a name on it? Does it have a phone number on the collar? That would be an important thing to handle. And then from there, if it's a nameless cat and it doesn't look like the cat on the wanted poster down the block, then I guess we can have a contest. What do I name the cat? Don't let it scare the turtles. I know. I looked into that. So the turtles are pretty much safe, especially the tortoise. The tortoise is safe because he's got really hard scales on him. Like he's got really hard scales on his arm. So when he pulls his head inside his body, there's nothing soft on the outside. As for the turtles, they're a little bit more in danger, but apparently they're not in that much danger. Of course he is someone's cat. He is your cat. Thanks, no? I was going to name him Fred or Phil, but I think Jimmy, who hasn't stopped by in a while, I hope he's doing all right, former U.S. Marine. I guess once a Marine, always a Marine. But I think he had a cat named Phil. I'm pretty sure he had a cat with like a normal name, like Phil or Bob. I think it was Phil, or what was the other name I just had? Well, I can only think of Phil. I think he had a cat named Phil or something similar to that. Maybe it's not Phil. There's another Fred. It was either Phil or Fred. I feel like it was Fred. What's up, Renee? We were just talking about the cat that broke into my house and hasn't left, to my knowledge. That I put food out for it and he eats it. I freaking don't feed the cat, and it takes the chicken bones out of the compost bag and strews them all over the floor. So that's how we knew he was still here. He's hiding really well. And then I bought him some real cat food today. Well, yesterday. It came today. So I, put out the cat food. And next time I check the space where I put the food, I'll see if he ate it. And I'm hoping he starts leaving me presents in the litter box. That would make me feel relieved. Because I had to buy some enzyme cleaner. Like enzymatic cleaner that has some enzymes in it. So the enzymes are supposed to clean any residuals from the cat poop, because that shit's nasty. And there's like a corner that smells like a cat house. You know when people have cats and they let the cat shit all over the place? There's an area that smelled like that, and I picked up the poop. I sprayed some enzyme cleaner to get rid of that smell. Not trying to become those people. No offense to cat people. Cats are cool. Just letting cats poop anywhere is not cool. You know, I'm not about that life. Don't know if you're aware, but there's a thing called the Universal Cat District. Yeah, I heard about this cat distribution system. How does that work exactly? Is it a database? Who runs it? Is there an organization? Do the cats manage it themselves? I'm going to guess the cats manage it themselves. I'm going to guess that's how that works. I have a video. It's titled Ron Visits a Cat Colony. I went to a random cat colony in the middle of some place near South Avenue. It was a broken down RV or trailer, like a construction trailer. And I started walking up to it. I was like, "Oh, let's explore this." And as I'm walking up to it, I see a cat. Then I see 20 cats, and I'm like, "Oh shit!" It was like being in a bad neighborhood. I was like, "I'm out of here. I'm not staying here." Just using a little sandpaper. I'm sorry if I lean away from the microphone. Sometimes I'm just using the sandpaper. But you see how the hexagonal mirror tiles, they do actually start to look like little hexagonal mirror tiles. Okay, this one I gotta sand it down too. But I do. Hey, what up, Renee? Good to see you. Yeah, an extremely cold, acrid ammonia-like smell. Yeah. Speaking of ammonia, the movie Project Hail Mary, Rocky the alien lives in a ammonia environment. So let's take a look at this diagram here. So we were putting the hexagonal tiles on. Cthulhu Fuhagon. Boiled carrots and tuna. Nah, I gave him tuna one night and I gave him boiled carrots the other night because I had no time to go. I didn't want to give him the expired tuna a second time because the way I saw it, I don't have a litter box. I didn't have a litter box yet. And I didn't want this cat eating more tuna because obviously if they eat tuna, they're going to poop it out. And it's like, come on, that's got to be nasty. Tuna shits have got to be like real nasty. So I was like, I'm not about that. So I Googled it. They could eat carrots on occasion. Elle did point out they are. Hey, what up, Nicholas? Elle did point out they are obligate carnivores. I mean, they have to eat meat, but they can eat carrots like a treat. So I gave it to him separately because it was like something I could boil up quickly. I can cut it up into smaller pieces and put it in a dish. And when we came home, the carrots were gone. I'm sure he could care less about the carrots. But he ate them because he was apparently starving, and chicken bones, well, he'd probably choke on them. Use the most basic cat litter you can find. You don't want bed beads. You don't want the scented stuff. Just basic, traditional. What's the big deal? I mean, I agree with you. I'm not trying to pay a premium. But why? Is there like a reason? Do cats not like these of the type? Or what's the logic there? Is there logic behind that? Like, is there an I don't know. You might know, but I'm sure you know better than me. I want to know what the reasoning is. You must accept the cat. You have no choice. Otherwise, the Federation of Ulthar will come get you from the moon. Okay, that sounds dangerous. I better accept the cat. You got me. Thanks for the heads up. I don't want that to happen. Remember, a cat chooses its... Oh, yeah, you said that. I'm trying to scroll up because I know Slim Nim said a lot of things. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. I would have to do some hunting for it because I haven't used it, but it is a wet silicone paste specifically used for helping in that not getting such a bite from a Nissan paper. What? Nissan paper? The car company makes paper? Let me look up some new model stuff. Oh, model kits. Okay. Oh, yeah, so the 3D model of Bestie. Did you see the picture, Snow? You want me to, I got a picture on Discord. I can show it to you right now. You cannot figure out what's going on in the actual moment. Being there, nobody can be... Oh, yeah, we said that. Okay, good. I got automatic. Do you have sonic acetone? No, I don't have a sonic cleaner. They use acetone? I thought they used, like, some other type of cleaning solution. I guess you could use acetone in a sonic cleaner. Wouldn't it, like, combust? Does it have, like, a flash point that would be triggered by the, transducer's heat output? And 1 million grit sandpaper? No, I don't have 1 million grit. The most I have is, I think, 2,400 or 3,000, 5,000 grit. I have 5,000 grit sandpaper. Some cats are so picky that if you completely clean up the litter box and don't leave some scent of their stuff, they refuse to use that litter box again. Okay, well, this litter box, I use the pretty plain stuff, so I think we're covered there. I think Nissan started out making nothing but OFF of this products and paper, right? Office products. Ah, Nissan started off making office products and paper. Got you. So sadly, when you're cleaning a litter box, you don't want to clean it all the way. All right, well, good to know. Actually, this litter box, apparently, when I got it, hey, thanks, Doris. Have a good show, man. See you later. So this litter box had some scratches on it. I gave it a thorough cleaning. Like, I went to the sink immediately. Because, like, it looked like, when people buy shit on Amazon and they freaking, like, use it and then they return it in the worst condition. Apparently, the person who processed that return didn't give a shit either. And I was like, I don't have time for this. I need a litter box, and I want a plastic one. I didn't want to use a cardboard box, even though you could use one. I didn't really have a plastic tub laying around. So I think I'm missing a hexagonal tile or two. Let's see if we're missing any tiles here. So how many more? We need 2 more tiles. I have 1 tile left. Yeah, I'm using copious amounts of glue, figuring that it'll smear and go into the gaps anyway. Okay, so we're going to sand this down. I'm sanding it right now just so you guys can see. Okay, that mirror came on a little crooked there. So we're missing we're missing 1 mirror right now. And it looks like some of the mirrors need to be shifted a little bit. So I'm going to try to like manhandle them into place. Not too bad. I mean, that's actually surprisingly cool looking. I mean, I thought it was going to look like crap. Don't know what a missing mirror is, however. Is it in the box? I don't know what a box is. The box is somewhere else, so we're not going to worry about that right now. We can always print. The mirrors are the easiest part to print. So let's explore putting together the rest of this space telescope. So obviously we're going to hold off on assembling the secondary mirror. We're going to not put these 2 vanes on. I'll probably have to print those later, but I can already see the part in the back here. We have one of these, so we're going to slap that onto the back of the primary mirror assembly. So we got this part here. We can see the bottom is here. And I think we put this on like a backpack. So if I'm guessing correctly, we got to sand this. What does that say? It's got these 2 circles here. Why? What do these circles? Oh, I see. Okay. So it's indicating something here. Now the last step, get the rear mount top and align it like in the picture below. Okay, so I'm going to flip it over like this. And it looks like these 2 dots have to line up with something. So I'm going to look at the directions here. You will need to glue the pieces together, but a small feature will help with that. As you see, the L corners indicate... Oh, okay, so these are L marks. So we're going to use these little letter L's right here, which barely look like letter L's, but you can see they look like little right angles. That's going to be the bottom of that. So it's going to go on like that. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to put the glue on, I think, the mirror on the computer. Basically, this is what a camera and computers are. Before we do that, let me see if I can find a filing tool. We could also use this X-Acto knife. I printed this at a very high speed, and it came out okay. But you know, high speed printing definitely can make compromises depending on how hard you push the printer. But with the new firmware on the printer, it does print obscenely. Oh crap! Okay, so as you can see, we snapped that part. So what we're gonna do is we're not going to do that again. Instead, we're gonna just leave it like that. We're gonna glue it on with minimal glue. We're gonna reprint this part. I'm going to redo the whole thing. I'm probably going to reprint it using the software I normally use because I decided to try out new software out of hopes it would come out better. In some ways, it was interesting because it did some things automatically that I normally have to program in ahead of time, and it did other things more poorly. So, all in all, I think I would stick with the software I already use until I have time to explore the other software. As you can see, when you're 3D printing, you get these little strings of plastic here. So I'm kind of just going to pluck them away and not. So as you can see over here, there's a lot of these jagged edges. I was trying to aggressively slice them, and I kind of got a little too rough with it, you know. And then I ripped the mount off. So there's actually a piece of plastic here. There's a couple of pieces of plastic. These two pieces of plastic here are related to the part I just messed up. In theory, I can glue them back on. We're not going to do that. We're not even going to try to glue them back on. We're just not. But we're going to just put it together and pretend that that's not missing. I probably should have scuffed this up with the sandpaper first. You know what? We're going to scuff up this area here with some low grout sandpaper. We're going to really rough it up. So I scuffed this up a lot so that the glue will adhere better. Did we put enough glue on that, you think? Let's put a little more on. A little more on, not more on. We're not too worried about it being perfect right now. So I'm just trying to put the glue back in. In the cap. Catch you later, Nicholas. Good to see you. So we just kind of put the glue there. Okay, so it's really not staying there. I was going to let go of it, but oh crap, I just pushed one of the segments off the mirror. Okay, let's be gentle. Don't mess up too many air bubbles on the backside. Oh yeah. Well, I'm not too worried about the air bubbles. You know, I mean, like I said, it's a preliminary assembly. I think I'm going to be redoing this, but I want to just see it, like, see how much of this can be assembled properly without any drama. So you got more of these stringing hairs. So what I'm doing right now is just plucking them off by hand. Someone recently suggested using tweezers. It's like, no, you just use your fingers. Like, tweezers, you'd be here all day plucking the hairs off. You're actually the best way to pluck these hairs off. The best way to pluck these hairs off. Okay. See, they just burn right off. So look, we got this gap here. Okay, that didn't really work as well as I expected. Didn't work that badly. You got to be very careful. One time I put this on a stove, and it immediately deformed. It was bad. I always have a electrical arc lighter. I probably would have been better off using sandpaper. Honestly, it smells a bit like lead because when you burn PLA, it has like a sugary smell. So those pieces I burned off, they just formed little nubs, little nibs. They didn't actually like go away. They just got like melted into a harder component. So I would have been better off just using sandpaper first. Now we got some like little evidence of the retraction settings or high speed printing. I think this is from the printer, like when it stops printing a layer and it moves on to a new layer. It has like a pressure buildup that squirts out a little bit more plastic. So you get these little blobs that become hard. And you can either pick them off with your fingers, like I just did there. In fact, that's probably the easiest thing to do. But when they get really severe and you can't do that, why do I need a sonic inducer and acid bath? Acetone bath. You mean a sonic cleaner, right? Is that, and isn't it called a, wait, inducer or transducer? I think it's a transducer. Wait, no, there's another term for it. It might be inducer, but no, I'm trying to think here. I think the bass kicker. What do they call that? The bass kickers use a transducer, right? It's like a speaker. It's like a speaker, but it's not a speaker. It's got more in common with a... It is basically a speaker, but its main job is to actually cause physical vibration. And there's many ways to do what I'm doing right now, no doubt about it. Okay, it is a transducer. Cool. Yeah, I remember I saw these things. They were like subwoofers. They were called transducers, and you basically attach them to a chair. You mount it to a chair, and it's like instead of because subwoofers is supposed to make you feel the movie, but they're super loud. So instead, if you use a transducer, you can get the same effect without waking the dead. Okay, so this is the part that gets interesting. Lower unit. So this is the big part. We saw the big cross-shaped thing on the desk. Get the lower unit and the solar array ready. These are the easiest steps of this part. Glue the solar array shown below. Again, trim the small legs if they don't quite fit. I think the solar array is either... Oh, this one came out bad. So here's the consequence of high-speed printing. You get this, like, broken leg thing here. That's not supposed to be like that. We might be able to melt it together. Where's my electric zapping lighter? I have a lighter that electrocutes things. It's really cool. If I find it, we'll use it right now. If I don't find it, we won't use it right now. But I've seen it on my desk recently. I don't see it right now. Unfortunately. It's a shame because it's a really cool thing. It's like a lighter, but it makes a lightning arc. And the thing is terrible. I sometimes play with it at my desk, and if you use it on a soda can, it disrupts my drawing tablet. It creates like an EMP. It's pretty freaking wild. I could actually demonstrate that. If I find it, I could demonstrate that right now. All right, well, I don't... Oh, here it is. I found it. This is fun. Okay, so check this out. So, we're going to fix this by hitting it with lightning. Oh, it kind of worked. I think it was a little too aggressive there. It like melted it instantly. Oh, actually, that kind of worked. Oh, God. Okay. That was too aggressive. Here, let's see what that looks like in the close-up. Now, let's find something metal. So here's the catch. You can't hold something made of metal while you use this. Okay? That's like really important. You cannot hold something made of metal while you use it. That's like a big no-no. So what we're going to do is we're going to use these plastic guitar picks. And we're going to go ahead, we're going to take something, we're going to find something metal. I'm going to find, oh, I found a filing tool, by the way. These are great. These are the files I use for modifying my N64. All right, I'm looking for something made of metal. All right, good. This will be good. This will do. That's a electric eraser component. You can't hold it. Okay, that doesn't work. It's not flat enough. See that? See that? Look at the. Oh, this is cool. This is so cool. It's kind of like a bad idea what we're doing here, but check it out. So I'm gonna do it again. Lightning. We got lightning. Right. Right. Now watch my drawing tablet. You saw that? It disrupted my drawing tablet. How cool is that? Do it one more time. How crazy is that? Okay, we're gonna stop. How crazy is that? It like creates broadband electromagnetic emissions that disrupts the HDMI or the video signal on the drawing tablet. How cool is that? Yeah, so you could do that with a soda can. You could do that with this metal cup here. You could do that with an X-Acto blade. Pretty much all of these things act like an antenna, which disrupts the signal on that. And sometimes when I'm using my headphones on my sound, in fact, my microphone might have made I wasn't listening to my microphone, but you guys might have heard the audio cut out when that happens. So yeah, it's wild. But yeah, we basically fixed it. Look, we have a straight plastic piece here now. So we accomplished the objective. It's stronger than before, even if it looks a little shoddy. Actually, really good stuff to have to find things going to be jewelry tools. Yeah. Okay, so let's see here. We're going to figure this out here. So this part's going to need a little bit of sanding here. So we're going to keep it simple. We're going to use P400 sandpaper. Have you ever had military briefing? No. Keep it simple, stupid. Oh. Well, do I have to keep something simple, stupid? Well, don't mess up. Oh, yeah, well, we read that already. Alright, I picked off the excess pieces. I cleaned off most of the junk except for this one area. See, I don't really want to cut this sandpaper up, but normally when I'm working on model kits, I cut the sandpaper up into more manageable parts so that I can use it in very tight spaces or in ways that are more practical. Try to keep it real simple right now, as a matter of fact. Oh, I'm not overthinking anything. I'm just, look, see, you got these little, every time I touch something, I feel these things, so I'm just taking care of them. That's what I've been doing. As I go along, I just quickly, as I go along, I just kind of feel something rough and I go, let's get that. Because I'm way better off doing this before I assemble it than I am after I assemble it. Ultimately, I do intend on painting this or making a better one and painting that one. I forgot to bring up the incompleted Starship Enterprise, but I started printing the Enterprise NX-01. I had some printing issues, so I redid part of it, and then that came out better. I need to print the bottom half of the sources section. Okay, so let's see here. Now, in the pictures, we had a solar panel. I think I'm missing a solar panel. Okay, so they say to put this on one side. What side is that? Okay, now get the alignment tool, and the support arms. I don't think I have an alignment tool. What alignment tool? Was I supposed to print that? Did I skip that? I might have skipped that. Oh, I think I found a missing part. No, that's the identical part. Okay, so we're just gonna YOLO this. I'm actually very confused at what I'm looking at. I think we're missing some parts here. Take a look at these directions real close. Okay, so wait a second. Okay. So I don't know what side should be the bottom, but I'm gonna make this the bottom because I think the shiny side in this case should actually be facing inside. I think I want the rough side facing out. Tough decision to be honest, but I think that's how I'm gonna do it. Now, what I feel like we're missing here is there's a double arm structure here. I only printed 4 of these. I'm gonna sand them down real quick. Actually, we're not gonna sand them down. We're gonna file them. Right, let's take another look at the pictures. When slot B does not align with slot A12. Oh, we got to investigate that. Let's see. Oh, I almost dropped something. All right. Oh, I think this is the alignment tool here. This is a master class in extrusion issues here. Look at this piece here. This is the type of stuff that you actually run tests on a printer called a stringing test. You print two towers next to each other, and the nozzle has to stop printing and go to the other tower, and then start printing and go back to the other tower. And if you have stringing, there will literally be strings going between the two towers, like these will be connecting to each other. And so you tweak your settings until you don't get that issue anymore. I would use the downward facing camera and speak more, but I don't want to get dust all over my drawing tablet. Ah, crap. It snapped on me while I was sanding it aggressively. We're going to put some glue on that. I don't know if we actually need that part, but we're going to put glue on it anyway. Honestly, this one here, I would have printed it solid, but I let the software make that decision this time because I was trying out new software. I wanted to see if the software would make a better decision. In retrospect, I would have definitely preferred to make this a solid component. So we're going to let that glue dry. I'm not really... Oh God. Okay, that was inconvenient. All right, I'm going to hold that part together for like a minute. Okay, well, I give up. We're going to tape this part together later. If we need that part, we're going to tape it together. That's what we're going to do, yeah. While we print it. Don't really care. I'm a little bit confused at these pictures here. So I see the cross. I see these diagonal bits. So we're going to do the ones on the side. I'm just going to match up the ones on the side. And I think I see how this goes here. The longer ones go on the top and bottom. The shorter ones go on the side. And I see how this works now. Okay. So we're going to flip this upside down. We're going to put this box underneath this. I'm going to attach struts to the side like this. Okay, so example of why I usually use the other software. So we got these little square holes, and they're really just not, the tolerances are not really correct here. So I gently filed it down. Oh, okay. Wait a second. I'm so confused now. Okay. Here's an interest. Look at that. That makes sense now. We're not going to glue these yet. We just want to see how they fit. So basically, I was supposed to print out twice as many of these. See, this one I don't like. This one, oh god, I nearly snapped it. So that's how we're going to do it. This part has a jagged edge, so we're going to gently file it down. That one snapped right in after I filed it down ever so slightly. So what goes in the rest of this? So we got some interesting stuff here. So on the James Webb Space Telescope that you saw earlier, you saw the sunshade. Let's get that back up on screen real quick. Okay, I'm pulling it up on the screen right now. Okay. So in the original, in the next step, these things here. So let's get a good angle of this. So we got the Mylar sunshade, right? You can see we put one of these long arms. We put the ones on the left and right on. We didn't put the solar panel on the bottom yet. But these things, now there's a version of this model that actually folds up to fit inside a rocket. It's model puzzling. Isn't it fun? Yeah, right? It is kind of fun. Like the jagged edge of a PS1 polygon. Oh yeah, those things got real jagged, didn't they? Sometimes just basic heat is a better resolution than the accurate Google. So basically, that's what these are. So I actually had had to print these 5 separate times because I can't do more than one on the same printer bed. So instead of doing them on the same printer bed, I did them one at a time. So the first one I printed, I pulled it off the printer bed and it came out like this. And this is pretty much, I had to double check. I was like, is this how it's supposed to look? And no, what happens is when the printer is printing, the nozzle is supposed to be pressed against the bed, but with just enough of a gap that the plastic comes out. And what it does is it's supposed to smush the plastic so that it adheres to the neighboring lines. So I had to double check. I was thinking maybe it's supposed to be like this, but I was like, nah. Pretty sure this is actually evidence that my nozzle offset wasn't quite right. So I did a second attempt, and my second attempt I can actually identify because it's better, but it's not perfect. That's this one here. And notice, in fact, you can see through this one. So here's the first attempt. You can completely see through that one, right? You see the green screen throughout the whole thing. Also, this circle is kind of imperfect here. The second attempt, you can see that we got some darker spots, but it's not quite right, but it's good enough. Like, even though, yeah, there's some separation here and there, it's good enough. Then, on subsequent attempts, this one, I started printing, it was too close, and that's what you get. When the nozzle is too close, you start to get these rough spots. And on this one here, I have it just right. See, it's not transparent at all. It's not particularly translucent, and you got the clear side there. So the clear side is the part that was on the printer bed. And the printer bed is basically a glass mirror finish. And so even these separated lines have the mirror finish, but they come right apart. Now you need 5 of these. But I figured I could either put this one in the middle somewhere. Actually, no, this one I'm just going to discard because you can see I glued the gap together and it's actually the glue worked really well, but it's the wrong shape. So we're going to discard that. And what I'm going to do is I think I would hide the bad ones in the middle or something like that. But I guess also I don't see how you're supposed to put this mirror in. Where does it even go? I think it's supposed to go in afterwards. So here's what we do. So I noticed that there was some bending going on. Maybe it's supposed to be bent. I don't know. It's a little crooked. It's probably supposed to get even pressure on all sides. Oh, I see how this works. Okay. Oh, I broke it. So I'm going to play with this a little bit more, but basically the gist of it is you're supposed to be able to put the 5 layers of sunshades in. There's supposed to be a neat little gap between them. I think because we're missing, we're supposed to have 2 veins here, 2 bars here. We only have 1 and 1, so we have to have 1 more on each side. And obviously I took out the side bar here because how are you supposed to assemble this if this is in the way, right? That doesn't seem really practical. But let's take a look at the theoretical assembly here. So I suppose you would glue that on like that. Something like that. Something like that, right? And then this goes on the bottom. I believe it gets glued on. So let's take a look at the CGI. I'm trying to find a curved part. So we do have the long. We do have this part. We're not going to put this on yet because we got to do a little more work. We have this part attached. Oh, it's upside down. I assembled it upside down, by the way, guys. So this is supposed to be facing down. This is facing up. And yeah, so I'm gonna reprint some of the parts, but basically we got the hexagonal mirror segments done. Heck, I can go and paint it. I think it would be best if I painted it first. Hey, it's Reggie? Oh, I thought Reggie was talking. So we're going to set this aside. I'll reprint some of that. This here, I'll clean it up a bit. I might even start painting it. You know, I got to get the rest of the mirror segments attached, and I can paint it gold. It's basically, it's a gold-coated mirror. It's got a micron layer of gold on it. The glue here is holding pretty well. It's crooked, though. There we go. This glue takes time to cure, so it gives us time to straighten it out. We could even put a bead of glue on the side of it if we want. I just heard something in my screen room. I wonder if the cat that I just put food out for left. I mean, that'd be fine. I was a little worried about having to pay for the vet bill for a cat that I didn't ask for. But I don't know. I kind of want to meet the cat. I really want to meet the cat. I do. I want to make friends with the cat. I'll be honest. So I know I printed out 16 hexagonal mirror segments. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay, I think I did print one extra. But apparently I printed two. Not enough of them. I printed 2 less than I was supposed to. So we're going to leave this over here to cure. And we're going to move on to something else now. What did we learn? I don't know what we learned, but it was moderately fun, right? We're going to take a look at the 3D printer. I just realized my camera was off. I'll get to that in a minute. Do we want to keep Space Engine open? Does anyone want to see anything in Space Engine? I can have barbecue chicken soup. Never had that before with smoky chipotle and fire roasted corn. It smells like a campfire. Wrong shape. What's the wrong shape? The frame? Probably. Almost certainly. Yeah, of course the printer could have done it smoother. I used a new, so what I did was, I'll show you the software I used. This is the software I use. Normally I use a different app. I use Cura. Oh, that's interesting. This software is not even compatible with the file, so hang on. So basically, I drag and drop them like this. Wait, that's the alignment tool. Is that not part of the final assembly? That is not part of the final assembly? Hold on. Oh, it's not. That's the, look at this, guys. Look, that's just the alignment tool. So what you do is, I think you're supposed to put the pieces in, shove all of these in it, and then you take the alignment tool out. And the alignment tool is one of the larger parts in here, ironically enough. So the alignment tool is to assist you with putting these parts in. The problem is we're missing one long vein on each side. So I must have taken the liberty of just printing 4 total, thinking they were like, that was enough. I should have printed 4 of this type and then 2 of this type. I did print out 2 of these. This part I broke, so we're going to have to reprint that. I guess that goes up the middle somewhere to kind of keep it together. The connection rod, okay, take the connection rod and place it in the hole on lower unit. If loose, put a bit of glue to secure it. When done, it should look like that. So we basically have the right idea here. We just got to do that. What is this? I don't see any holes like that. I see rectangular slits. This is the stand. The bottom has a square peg, and then this is the final part. So basically, I got to print out the upper and lower vanes again. I got to print the secondary mirror. And I think the way we're going to do this is we're not going to use this app here. Because this app is way too exotic. It's not bad. It actually looks at it's buttery smooth graphics there. It's going at full 120 frames a second on my screen. And it worked, but I don't trust it. I just don't trust it. So we're going to open up this other app, and we're going to go open up the Starship Enterprise. What I really wanted to print out is the Russian space shuttle. I do have that's why I'm opening the app directly. I want to open up the Russian space shuttle, and either we're going to print that. Oh, we got Artemis. We got SLS Artemis. So let me see here. The Artemis rocket has way too many parts. I don't feel like doing this one right now. That's a lot of parts to manage. So we're not doing it. What does it look like in the pictures? Oh, idiot. Put a slideshow on real quick. I'm going to let that run a slideshow. I'll be right back. Oh, okay, so that's a complete image right there. So, you're printing all of that stuff separately. Some of the parts, like that fuel tank, I think is a 2-part piece. At least the upper cone is a separate part. The pipes on the side are separate, which is smart because a lot of times these 3D printers will struggle to do a one print job. So what you do is you kind of split it up into jobs that can be oriented in ways that will ensure they print properly. Your stream, bro. I do whatever I want. Thank you. I mean, I'm open minded. If you want to see a particular planet or thing in space, I would show it to you. You know, if you had an interest, I would love to share. This is the solid rocket booster. So on the side of the Artemis rocket, you got 2 extended versions of the old solid rocket booster. And these are actually assembled in segments, so you actually print them out in segments as well. This is a multicolor print too, so what's cool about the Artemis rocket print model is you could print this in white, you print this in black, and in the end, you would basically end up with the correct color. You print black, white, silver. And as long as you have materials in those colors, you can actually have color. So you need to get a colored filament that matches the color of the fuel tank. I don't think these pipes are yellow in real life, but they're telling me it's yellow here, so you could get yellow filament. I think this is the front and back, maybe? Or is this an incomplete model and a completed model? Ah, so there you go. You print that one in one big white piece, I guess. Now, this is a weird part. I don't know if you're supposed to slide this around the side. I feel like you would break it trying to install that. Oh, yeah, I feel like that seems risky. Ah, here's a good example. So you can see that's clearly a FDM printed model, meaning that it's done layer by layer like my printer does it. It's squirting out the material, one layer at a time. So I would bet you print these nozzles. This is the bottom, and it works its way up. You may have some support material on the inside, but you might not need it. This, you definitely don't need support material. This, I almost feel like might do better printed upside down, but you probably could print it right side up. This is an example of all of the parts on a board before being glued together. So apparently these are the rings for the fuel tank. And that's basically that. So we're not printing that one. What does this single? What Enterprise D? I don't feel like printing that one, to be honest, because we should look at it anyway, because that would be fun. Well, what it might. My friend has done it, and it looked pretty decent actually, but it wasn't like decent enough for me to be compelled to do it myself. But we should take a look at that because it's worthwhile. The other problem with the Enterprise D is there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. You can see how many versions. Oh, and I actually do have glow-in-the-dark filament, so I did consider loading my print up with glow-in-the-dark filament. This one's interesting. This is a brilliant one right here. This one would be a little complicated, but look, it's got all of the parts separate, and this is smart because look at this. So one of the ways my friend printed the Enterprise was he printed it like from the tail up. What's cool about this one is you can print it really large because you're printing out separate components for the whole thing and then gluing them together. So here's an example of the printer bed right here. This would be very, very, we should try this one right now. We're going to YOLO it right now, guys. We're going to YOLO this. So let me download that and open up the zip file. We're going to make a folder for that one. We'll call it Enterprise D Multi, we'll call it, because it's a multi-part model. I was thinking about doing an Enterprise NX01, and I'm going to show you that one real quick. I think I have that one ready to open up. We also have a Bushmaster from World War I. So this is an interesting one, because there's two ways to print the Enterprise NX01. There's this one right here. And there's a multi-part version of it right over here. Well, it's not here, but basically in the multi-part version, you got higher detail versions of this right here. So I'm going to show you something interesting here. I'm going to open up part of the NX01 real quick. I want to show you something cool. Well, not even cool. Something that has given me a little bit of consternation. Okay, perfect. So I want you to observe something here. So this is a slicer. Oops, I wasn't showing the screen. I'm sorry. So we got two versions of the NX01 right here. We got this one, the whole entire model. Notice there's some red over here because these are overhangs. It has to print support material. So we already have our settings dialed in. We got the temperature. We got the infill set to 20%. We can set it to more if we want. We'll leave it at 20% for now. That should give us plenty of strength. The supports are disabled right now, which means that this wouldn't really, the second Enterprise wouldn't even print properly without supports. We're going to tell it to slice it. It's going to convert this into G code that the 3D printer can actually handle. So now it says it's going to take 3 hours, 77 minutes to print. Now this view right here gives us a preview of the way it looks on the printer bed. So this one here is good, right? Because like it's got a flat bottom. Oh, we have it on a raft. We need to get rid of that. So raft is a way of making the model adhere to the printer bed, but they have you get some compromises dealing with that option. Now, real quick, it should be mentioned the printer is preheated. So if we go here, we're gonna just tell it to rehome it, and then we're gonna run a macro to level the bed. So there's a button behind the chat window here that says bed level. I'm going to click on it right now, and we're going to resume what we were doing. So now it's going to, oh crap. So see that black line there? I forgot to peel it off. That's the smush line. I was supposed to peel that off. I'm going to leave it there. We're going to hope for the best. Actually, if we print it from this software, this black line won't interfere with anything, so we're good. But the other software, at the beginning of the print, it draws a black line kind of to get rid of any gunk at the end of the nozzle. So there we go. Now it's probing the printer bed. So here's the problem with this Enterprise here. And this is just like the one I have that I already printed the top. I need to reprint the bottom because I ran into some problems with that. See those rings? Those are the layer lines. So when the printer is printing, it's just like a plotter, right? Like an architectural plotter. So it literally has the nozzle drawing. See that? You got little lines drawing. That's one layer. We'll play it back in real time. Oh, my file. I need a tissue. I was about to do an Israeli snot rocket. I was like, can't do that. Your stream, bro. Do what you want. I do what I want. But, you know, so this is helpful. Sometimes when you have a problem printing, you watch this to see, like, where it runs into a problem. But as you can see, it's very straightforward. It's going to go all the way to the end. And that's that, right? Now, for the other Enterprise, you can see here, it printed the bottom of the sources section there, but that's irrelevant. Don't worry about that right now, because this is the important thing I want to show you. Now, we're just advancing it one layer at a time. 1, 2, 3, 4. That squiggly line pattern is called dry void infill. One of the more messed up parts that usually get messed up on a smaller model is this right here, the deflector dish. And actually, this deflector dish comes out pretty good, surprisingly, but it fundamentally is a super simple way of printing it. So 1, 2, 3, 4 concentric rings, and you can see how it overlaps. So the problem is that the sources section isn't that many layers, so it does form something that resembles a curvature, but you can see the visible flat rings. The worst part of this model, like I printed out a small version of this model. I painted it. It came out looking pretty good. I have a small version of this model that I painted. I should have brought it up with me and showed it to you guys next week, I guess. But you can see like the patterns here. See, it gets a little weird right over here. See, like the top of these booms here, these catamaran booms, it gets a little weird. Other parts look reasonable, but even then, I have doubts. Now, check out a trick I did as an experiment. So I took this chip here, and I printed it like the way my friend printed the Enterprise D. And I'll get you a full Enterprise D. We'll open up another one in a second, but we're going to rotate this one. We're going to bring it 90 degrees up. We're going to tell the slicer to slice it. And we can scale these up to any size. So don't worry, we're going to pull up the Enterprise D, but there's a reason I'm showing this, because there are advantages to printing it standing up. So when my friend printed the Enterprise D standing up, it made sense. So you saw how the booms looked before, right? Look at them now. They're so much smoother, aren't they? Like, look at that. Like, because each one is its own layer. So you actually get better resolution on some of these details. Up here at the top, however, let's take a look at the deflector dish and see how that comes out. It comes out okay, but actually, I don't know, a lot of overhangs. It might work. It's a little sketchy because, see, this horizontal line, it's going to have to print support material here. And then you're going to have to pluck out the support material without destroying the deflector dish. So this might work if we scale it up. But overall, the theory of this one printing, it might come out better like this. Now, on the downside, you have these overhangs, right? It can't magically print overhangs. It sort of can. Surprisingly, if you tune it really well, you can kind of get it to happen. But what we're going to do is we're going to turn on supports. We're going to use tree supports. I'm going to tell it to generate. Now, this one's going to take a while. So we're going to go back to the browser. And we're going to download this Enterprise D here. I think this one. That one should be about as good as any. Or maybe this one here. That's one of the reasons I haven't printed the Enterprise D. Oh my god, is this a multi-part? Hold on. Oh, this one's a brilliant one, actually. This one oh, this is a good one. Check this one out, SlimNim. This one you print it in halves, just like the NX01. So this one's a smart one. This one's actually a really good print. I'm going to download it. I'm not going to use it right now, but this is a good one. Because if you can avoid using supports, even if you got to do some gluing, you can get a better result. This is another multi-part Enterprise. This one has support materials on the back of the saucer. So this one here, they kind of hybridized the approach. They put supports on the back of the saucer. In fact, this one looks like it has pre-built supports, so you don't have to generate your own. But let's go grab this one here and see what it does. So we're going to go download that one now. And we're going to put that into a new instance of the Slicer software. And we're going to see what it does. In the meantime, these are tree supports. It looks a bit like a tentacle mess. This is how I printed Lexus. You know, bestie. But the idea is that these print at a lower quality. But it allows you to kind of like more rapidly print the support material. Now, what's the support made of? You can see it right there. See, look, it's pretty simple. Just layers of horizontal lines. And then when it gets to the part, it's going to print out these little waffle patterns. You can see right here. Now, there's different versions of support patterns. But the idea is that this part's supposed to break away from this part here. That's sort of like the goal, is to have something that detaches from the ship. So I'm seriously thinking about printing this. Scaled up to like maybe 150 or 180%. So that's 10 centimeters. We can go larger. Let's go 175% and see how many minutes it's going to take to print it. In the meantime, we got a new window open. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to get the zip file. We're going to get the zip file for the Enterprise D. This one's available in a multi-part. It comes in multiple parts as well. How big do we want to make it? So I think we should go for like 65%. Give a little headroom because I think I could print to the full height of my printer. Bestie? Oh, you didn't see Bestie yet? Oh, okay. I got you. I got you, Snow. Hang on. I sent it to Elle so I could show you what it looks like. I could download it from Discord. I had it on my phone. Oh, I took pictures in Manhattan yesterday. I went to a bar for my brother's birthday. I went to Stone Street. Okay, I'm gonna download a couple of pictures here so you can kind of see what it looks like. No worries, no. I did say I would show you. So this is Bestie printing with tree supports, and you can see up here the zigzag pattern is the infill right here. So it's in the middle of printing right there. And then this one here is a box I printed. I printed this box and I glued it to the side of my desk. It came with like a little clamp. And you wrote dog in Japanese. What's up, El? And yeah, so that's, it's very rough. I printed it with her facing up, so the back is very, very rough. Like the back has support material, so I had to tweak my support settings. Also, I think my offset's a little bit off, but yeah, good work, Snow, converting this to 3D. Obviously, I'd like to either use this one or reprint it. I was thinking about reprinting this one. There's a setting called smoothing, and what it does is it moves the nozzle up against the top layer while it's hot, and it sort of like melts the plastic while squirting out a little bit more material to make the rings go away, to make it look shinier. So I figure if we use smoothing, maybe we get a shiny finish on the front. Then we sand it lightly and we could paint it. We could put like the little PlayStation circle up here, and just paint the hair white, paint the skin flesh color, paint the dress black and white like an Oreo. Get a headband. But I was actually surprised. Look at the hair. The hair came out pretty good. Like, it's flexible and doesn't snap. Now, this filament here gave me no end of trouble. I had to do Bestie twice. I think, actually, Bestie was the only thing I printed successfully with this filament. The filament kept snapping, either because it was dried out or it wasn't dried out. It got moisture. Or there might have been something else wrong with the filament. But either way, as soon as I swapped the filament, I had better results. So the Enterprise D, let's see, Slim Nim, how that comes out. How long will it take? So we would print it like this, because chances are we could just clean up the back of it. The supports hopefully wouldn't stick too badly to it. It takes a lot of CPU to calculate this. My computer's getting pretty hot right now doing the calculation here. This one would take 12 hours. It'd be ready by 3 p.m. tomorrow if I start now. What I would do is I would bring this down to 165% just to get a little more speed out of it. This would take 14 hours. Should I print it? Well, let's see what the preview looks like. Actually, this one would come out pretty good. Now, I'm really worried about doing the NX01. I think to do the NX01, what I would do is I would print a raft under it. And the reason is that we don't have to worry about the raft getting stuck to any part on the bottom, because there's really no parts on the bottom. But by printing a raft, it's like a sheet of thick plastic at the bottom that keeps it glued to the printer bed. It helps a lot with keeping it adhered to the printer bed. So I hope that answers your question, Slim Nim. So my printer can print at a very high speed, but the problem is that I think the forces associated with high speed printing would shake this off the printer bed in the current configuration. There would just be a lot of like inertia. A lot of inertia. So we got to be very careful with that. So 11 hours, that gets us to 2 p.m. Should I shorten it? You think that's enough time? You think 2 p.m. is like probably fine, right? Let's see what the printing speed is. 300 millimeters a second. Yeah, no joke. So let's send it to the printer. So while we send it to the printer, we're going to take a look here. So we're going to click Start Print Job. We're going to take a look at the mesh real quick. So on the printer screen, this looks, oh crap. I don't like it. Crap. I don't like it one bit. See, my problem is I don't like that one side is still crooked. This is a problem I'm still working on. And the variance in range is something like, it's actually not that bad. I think this is exaggerated, but I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Because it looks like it diverges somewhat significantly from a flat surface. We're printing towards the middle, so that might save us. But it's like, I still don't like it. So 632, 639, that's actually what, 0.0639 to 0.632. So assuming that's in millimeters, that's actually not a lot. I think this is an exaggerated view. So the fact that the printer bed is crooked might not be as significant as it looks. It's still something I would like to address. I do have some printed blocks. I printed some rectangles that I can use under the Z-axis. So when we look here, you can't really see the Z-axis, but this part here, the nozzle moves left and right, so that moves towards us and away from us. So we've uploaded our model to the printer. In a moment, it's going to indicate that the printer model is there. I already set the temperature of the printer to 205 degrees Celsius. So we're waiting for the printer tablet. We have a tablet, a computer hooked up to the printer, basically. A small computer, but a powerful one. So what we did, I didn't send it to the printer yet. Oops. Okay, let's send it to the printer now. Oh crap, I should have clicked level to bed one more time. Oh well. I mean, it shouldn't have changed. It was already preheated when I leveled the bed earlier during the stream. But this is the Clipper firmware, and so normally on a 3D printer of this type, the motherboard has all of the software on it. It's like an 8-bit motherboard, but 8-bit is enough to do what we're doing here. The problem with the 8-bit motherboard is well, not really a problem, but one of the interesting things is if you hook up a more powerful computer like a Raspberry Pi or a regular PC, it can do a lot more heavy lifting. So one of the things you do is use something called Clipper firmware. Clipper firmware can account for things like the pressure on the nozzle and little things like that. So as it's printing, it could say, oh, don't move the extruder motor because it knows there's enough pressure for the material to come out of the nozzle on its own, so it can kind of coast. The other thing it does that's really cool is you mount an accelerometer to the nozzle, and then it moves side to side. And it starts moving at like 5 hertz. 5 hertz means it's moving back and forth 5 times a second. Then it goes 10 hertz. So it moves side to side 10 times a second. Then it starts moving like in place, like 10 hertz, 20 hertz, 30, 40, 50. And before you know it, it's moving at like 80 hertz. So 80 times a second is going dun, 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 and it sounds like a humming sound. And it'll go up to like, I think 120 hertz. It'll start making this like really high pitched humming sound. And then it'll stop. And you do the same thing on the bed. You put the accelerometer on the glass bed. It moves front to back, like from like 1 hertz to like 120, 150 hertz. I think it's 134 hertz is the upper limit. And it uses that for something called input shaping. So basically, it manages the resonances. It basically, there's a resonance from the vibrations from the motors moving side to side. So when you're printing something at high speed, you get these little waves in the lines. And you can actually take a ruler and manually calculate the resonance based on the pattern on the print. But using the accelerometer, it's way easier. And once you do that, you can take the accelerometer off, you remove it from the printer. And you only have to redo the accelerometer calculations again when you make major changes to the hardware. So when I bought a new nozzle a week ago, I had to redo the accelerometer readings on the x-axis, but I did it on the whole printer. I did it on the y-axis as well, just for the heck of it. Now, what we have to do here is that's really critical. It says 11 hours right here. But over here, what I have to do is I have to click on these buttons here. I'm going to move the chat. So this says moving it up and down 0.05 millimeters. So if the material doesn't, oh God, it's already printing at high speed. Ah shit, I don't like that. That's scary. It's probably fine, but typically if you're going to be tuning the Z-axis offset, you would do it during a low speed mode. Apparently when you're printing a raft, remember the raft is this thing here. So on the bottommost layer, we have this blue thing that I don't normally use a raft, but a raft really helps it stick to the bed. So what you're watching right now, you're watching the nozzle do this. See, it drew the line, and that's what it's doing, drawing these horizontal lines. Then it's going to print a second set of lines. It's going to go next layer. See, it does a second set of lines. So it's creating like a bed on top of the bed. And then you do it a third time, and now you have a solid piece of plastic. It's like printing a base for your print to go on top of. But this base is inherently like made to be removable. And then there you go. So you got the beginning of the tree supports. And then the red lines represent the back of the ship. So these tree supports are not part of the model. They just support the overhangs. And then eventually we get something like this. I don't know if I trust it, to be honest, because I'm noticing there's no support material over here. But we're going to YOLO it and see what it does. Also, I think I should have scaled it up a bit because I don't think the warp coils are going to come out that good. I think if you scale it up a lot more, especially if you print this in separate parts, which I've already begun doing, you can print everything big, and all of the tiny parts that normally give you trouble won't give you trouble. So there's that. But yeah, we're gonna YOLO it. We're gonna see what happens here. So last time I used, earlier today I started using using the raft that's printing right now, and it disconnected from the printer bed and it started shifting like crazy. I was printing a tank called the LVT-1 Let's get a picture of that. LVT. Actually, no. It's printing an LVT3. Water buffalo. No, wait. Bushmaster. So this is a Amtrak amphibious tracked vehicle from World War II, and I think LVT-4 was used in like later wars, like even in Vietnam. LVT-3 was developed by the Borg. Oh my God, the Borg Warner Corporation, a group in Florida, as their Model B in April in 1943. For the first time, the crew could disembark from a ramp at the rear. So on the previous models, I have a 3D model. I should just find the 3D model. But in the earlier models of this tank, the crew had to climb out the top. They literally had to climb over the top. Imagine you're on the beaches of Iwo Jima, and you got to climb over the top of this thing. That's like a way to get picked off. So having a ramp in the back made it easier. But on top of that, I think they could put a Jeep, and this thing would float on water. So this is a pontoon, basically. And so it would paddle through the water and disembark crew from the back. And then they would also use it to medevac people at the same time. But when I printed it, some interesting things happened. Like, it was having trouble printing the overhangs because I forgot to put the support material in. So like this front part, like where the tank is, wasn't coming out. The tracks came out, but not the front part. And then another time I printed it, it didn't stick to the bed, so I made some adjustments to it. And I probably would have gotten it right if I tried a third time. Actually, I only did it twice. But it was fun. They should have known better than a top eject. Yeah, well, it was some random company in Florida. Everyone's trying to rush to get something. World War II was, at times, we had material superiority. It was kind of a given we'd win. And other times it felt a little tenuous. Like, if a few things didn't go the way they went, it could have gone really south for us. But either way, I think we would have just kept the resolve. But, it's just like other wars. You got the media, you got public opinion, and that sometimes made a mess. Like, if we didn't nuke Japan and people found out, like, okay, fun fact about World War II. They were giving out the same Purple, they made so many Purple Hearts, so they made a shit ton of Purple Heart medals for invading the mainland of Japan, because they expected a shit ton of casualties invading the mainland of Japan. There was like a lot of interesting battle plans. Like, they had a battle plan, the Japanese, where they would have guys go out in scuba diver suits with bombs on the end of a stick, and they would just go up to the landing craft and go and blow it up, like, basically a guided munition of sorts, right? They had the Kaitan, I think, was it the Kaitan? The torpedoes that were piloted, the kamikaze torpedoes. You had those. You also had different types of kamikaze plane, including an actual plane that was like a giant flying bomb that was intended to be used like a manned cruise missile, I guess you would say. A lot of cool shit. It messed up, but cool. But anyway, long story short, we made a shit ton of Purple Heart medals to the point that we were still giving out the same Purple Heart medals during the Gulf War. And during Operation Iraqi Freedom, during the Afghanistan War, people were still getting Purple Heart medals that were made for Operation, what the hell was it called? Overlord? No, they had what was the name of the battle of, name of the planned battle of mainland Japan? Operation Downfall. So yeah, they made a crap ton of medals for Operation Downfall, and we were still giving them out in the 2000s. But luckily we canceled that operation. But anyway, my point is, I don't even know what my point was other than that. It's just a fun fact. Undulation of frequency creates structural distortion. Got it. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. So anyway, with the LVT-1 Alligator, these things were able to go over the coral reef. So next to the island of Saipan, you have coral reefs, right? Let's take a look at Saipan real quick. Imagine the Spanish flu, World War I and World War II. That was still not enough. So 6 days of war, the 6 days war, Korea, Nam. And Nam, I've heard some interesting debates about Nam, like, how do you lose a war that you win every battle? And you could argue that we didn't really lose that war. But on the other hand, between the PR aspect of the war and the fact that the South Vietnamese were corrupt and kind of pussied out when we already took all of our equipment out, it was like we were over it. It's like, we're not coming back. We already finished. We pulled our shit out. We're not bringing our shit back. And so it's like, well, then it's not exactly a win, is it? But, I mean, we did bomb way more shit and kill way more of the opponent there. Also, like, pro-communist North Korean sympathizers, they like to say how we committed all these atrocities bombing North Korea, but it's like, hey, look, if you have aerial bombardment at your disposal, why not use it? Why commit your troops there? I mean, it's bad enough that MacArthur had these guys going up all the way up to the Yalu River, freezing their asses off, getting frostbite, and then, like, basically they goaded the Chinese into coming to the other side. If they didn't escalate, maybe the Chinese would not have pushed in, because that was a big factor, too, in making that war harder. But they still lost way more than we lost, but took a lot of grit to do it. But where's Vietnam? Let's see. Lao Yang? I want to find Vietnam. I want to see if I can find Vietnam without... I think Vietnam's down here. Is it this thing here? I think it's Vietnam. No, it's not Vietnam. This is... L is over here. Say hi to L. Hi, L. Okay, I'm sorry. I want to find Vietnam. Or like in the movie, what was it? Forrest Gump. Viet fucking Nam. Here we go. Found it. Back in Viet fucking Nam. I'm sorry. It's so corny. Why was I going to Vietnam again? Oh, I was going to Saipan. I'm sorry. Off topic. I bet I can find Saipan. You know how you find Saipan? You look for the Mariana Trench. Right? And then you got to go to the South Mariana. Even though it's the Northern Mariana Islands. You got to go south to find it. And then you find the Northern Mariana Islands. Which I guess is still kind of north compared to the Southern Marianas right here. But here's the Marianas. You got... Oh, crap. So... Northern Mariana Islands. You got Guam. You ever like you ever have to drive someone home from work and it's like, I gotta fucking drop off Ted at Guam. Gotta bring Jimmy to Guam. Well, here's Guam. Then you got what is this? Is this Rota? I forgot which. Yeah, oh, I got it right. That's Rota. Look, it's Rota. I think it's an atoll actually, but it's an island as well. Then we got Tinian. That's where we launched the atomic bomb. But anyway, Saipan had these coral reefs, and Saipan was pretty, like they had a shit ton of civilians here. So you have a lot of written accounts from civilians about this. So the LVT-1 alligators that were basically first deployed here, I think, they might have been deployed at Guadalcanal first. They could roll right over the fucking coral reefs and drive right up onto the beach. Of course, we had UDTs, underwater demolition teams, blowing up chunks of the coral reef so that the landing craft can make it in there. And what is this? Is that shipping or these military ships? They look like shipping. That looks like a helicopter pad. Almost looks like a type of ship for like ore, moving ore or something like that, you know? And I saw another ship over here. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. I just sang a song from Star Trek V. Oh, we got the Bonsai Cliffs. Or these are the Suicide Cliffs. I think the Bonsai Cliffs are somewhere else. These are the Suicide Cliffs. A great place if you, like, let's say you think you're going to get murder raped by the U.S. servicemen. This is a great place to jump. Look at that shit. Oh, look, a baseball field. You could watch baseball. How cool would it be to watch someone play baseball with binoculars from the Suicide Cliff? That would be cool. I would go on vacation to this place just to do that. I'm not even into baseball and I would do it. I would do it especially if the Mets were there. They had interpreters speaking on megaphones telling people don't jump. Really tricky situation there. But yeah, so that's what the LVT1 alligator was for. So even though you had to climb over the back of the vehicle, which was not ideal, it made it possible to get over the coral reef without using a Higgins boat, because a Higgins boat is basically those boats like in the video game Medal of Honor Allied Assault. That's a Higgins boat. You know, basically the flat bottom boat is kind of rectangular with the ramp on the front. That's a Higgins boat. And the LVTs were a bit like tanks. They weren't exactly armored like tanks, but they had different variants. They had ones with different sized guns on them and stuff like that. But yeah, adding a ramp to it, absolutely a freaking game changer, right? Way safer to do that. I was reading the book when they had the LSTs, and what they would do is they have a LVT jumping off the LST. So they have LVT, and it would come off the ramp on a LST. Like this, kind of like this. Not exactly like this. It would obviously, this is a pontoon bridge, I think. But the problem was that when it was coming off the front ramp, oh, here's one. This is a great picture right here, right here. Look at that shit. I think this is, so one of the things that we actually have a new class of ship that can beach itself, which is perfect, because if you can beach the ship, you can show up during a hurricane basically and deploy troops. But there were times where they would open up this ramp in the middle of the ocean and have these guys drive off because they didn't want to pull up directly to the beach under fire. So they would do it at a distance. And if the boat was if the truck was too heavy, if the LVT was too heavy, it would sink and everyone would drown because the water would go over the side, make it too heavy, and it would drown, and the people were wearing their equipment. But what you would do is you drive off the ramp when the wave crest was like at the top, and that would give you enough buoyancy to not sink, basically. So it was a very precarious, very precarious thing to drive off in that thing. But you know, you could duck, and then when you get to the beach, you hopefully can climb out quickly enough to not get shot. But yeah, not ideal. I mean, I don't think they intended to make it hard for the troops. Just that this was the first design that was ready, and that's what they did. And then they iterated during the war. They iterated upon the design. They rapidly had the LVT2 and the LVT3 Bushmaster. So I think was it LVT2 Water Buffalo. So, you know, I don't know how it differs, but let's see here. LVT1 Alligator. And I suspect that some of the LVT1 alligators were misidentified as LVT1s. I mean, as LVT1s, so LVT2s could have been misidentified as LVT1s. This one here, it's actually got a driver compartment on the front. I see it's a gunner. But they had so many variants of these things, too. Like, it almost seems like no two were the same. Like, this one looks like a shuttlecraft from the original Star Trek. Got 3 windows on the front of it, just like the shuttlecraft. You can see it's floating back there. You got another one kind of looks a little bit deeper. Looks like these are starting to get on the land a little bit. So that one's still in the water. This one's starting to roll up on the sand, I think. This is one that was on tour to raise war bonds. There's one on display in Florida today. And this is a LVT-4, which I think is a much later model. I don't even know if they use these. These were used in the Korea War, I think. Or maybe even in Vietnam. But by then, LVT3 and 4 actually had a ramp, and that, yeah, absolutely made it safer to jump off the boat. And you got some, I want to 3D print it and make a model, but the one I have has 2 machine guns on the sides and an open top, basically. So, and a ramp door in the back that doesn't open because it's a 3D printed model without a hinge on it. But I would love to get a model kit of one of these, maybe. This one looks like they slapped a tank turret on the freaking thing, or like maybe not a tank turret, just like, you know, a cannon, whatever type of cannon, like, you know, the kind that's like bigger than a machine gun, smaller than a full-blown tank cannon. Ah, here's one with a Jeep coming out of it. I mean, look, so every time we get a picture of one, what is that? Is that a ramp, or is that carrying supplies? Yeah, that might be a ramp. It's an LVT-4. Oh, they did have an LVT-4 at Iwo Jima, so they already had the LVT-4s out by then. That's cool. So the LVT-4s were good. The good thing they had LVT-4s for Iwo Jima. And this one here is in Peleliu. I'm reading a book called Bitter Peleliu, and you can see the pontoon where and what's interesting is you can put fuel, and sometimes the fuel tanks can float because fuel floats on water. So, like they did this on submarines where they would sometimes put water into the fuel tank, and the fuel would float to the top, and the water would sink to the bottom, and it would give them a way of controlling buoyancy using the fuel tanks. What is that? LVT Type 95 light tank at Tarawa. Tarawa. A doodle bug testing in Saipan. In testing on Saipan. I hope they were testing this on Saipan after we conquered. Yes, this is after we conquered Saipan, okay? Let's make sure. I'm pretty sure this is... Oh, no. No, that was 1944. Oh, boy. They were testing this thing out, I think, a month after the battle. Oh, shit. And you know how the Japanese... how some of the Japanese soldiers kept on fighting, like, after the surrender order came in. That's dedication, though. You got to hand it to them a little bit, right? These are, like, not LSTs, but they're like... I don't even know what this is. It looks like a miniature LST. I don't even know what you call that. But yeah, so I don't know. I would probably buy a model kit, but I'm inclined to 3D print it since it's cheaper and free for me to 3D print one of these. Yeah, this is what the one I downloaded looks more like one of these. So getting back on topic here. Oh, look, a little door in the back. That's cute. A cute little door for the driver's compartment. Why is the door open? Because it's probably hot as balls in there. Probably driving in a tropical climate. They're like, it's fucking hot in here. Oh, look at that. He's even got like a little door open on the front window there. It slides open or hinges open. Look how many guys you can fit in that one there. That's got to be LVT4. Okay, so the 3D print is... I think it's coming out fine. What is this stuff on the front here? I'm a little confused about that. Is that the warp engines? Oh, yeah, it's printing the warp engines. I think it's coming out fine. Yeah, I think this will be fine. So let's take a look at the time on this. 11 hours. Okay, so it's still got 11 hours left. I can potentially crank the speed up after it prints for a little while. I would wait till we get like a good bottom printed of this. Maybe some attachment to the support material interfaces. And then I would crank the speed up to like, I don't know, something more. I could crank the speed up right now probably. I'm afraid to. Maybe we'll crank it. Well, we're going to let it print a little bit more, but I've had this thing printing. See, over here tells us how fast it's going, but thing is that 250 millimeters a second is when it's doing the supports, because the supports don't need quality, so they can print fast. When it's printing part of the ship, it prints at like a slower speed, I believe. So maybe when we get to warp engines, we can see how fast it prints the warp engines. So I'm going to look at the number here. And let the nozzle dance around the supports. And when it gets to the warp engines, the warp nacelles, okay, 120 millimeters a second. So I would say I would crank this up to like maybe 110%. And then 120 and bring it up to 150, maybe 200% at the maximum. So let's see here. In 40 years, wow. Imagine a Spanish... Oh, yeah. All that shit in 40 years. So that's what you were saying, Snow. The Spanish flu, World War I, World War II, and that was still not enough. The 6 Days War, Korea, Vietnam, etc. in 40 years. Oh yeah, they knew how to have a good time back in the day, didn't they? We left that war because Cambodia was attacking us from behind. Oh yeah, and we weren't allowed to go into Cambodia. That was a big issue for the soldiers. Like, they weren't allowed to follow the enemy into Cambodia. Yeah, good point. The loss of life between 1908 and 1944 is incalculable. Well, of course it's incalculable. They didn't have computers yet, Snow. Today, however, if we had a war like that today, we could calculate it with the best computers that computer scientists and engineers can conjure. I'm just pulling your leg. It's awful. It's messed up. By God, we're going to calculate the death count and we're going to do it right. I don't know. I just feel like some guy in 1940s accent would say some shit like that. We did have a computer in the 40s. It was called the ENIAC. You guys ever hear of the ENIAC? Let's get a picture of the ENIAC. Let's get a video of the ENIAC. The ENIAC was a huge vacuum tube-based computer. Ooh, Elle has a stream tomorrow. Let's hit notify me so that I get notified. And what is this? Why is there a guy floating in a space station? It looks like. Why does this look like some kid made his own video of the internet? I think it's a Japanese astronaut. Yasaku Maizawa. Oh, well, I'm an otaku and you're an otaku, so we're definitely gonna look at Japanese astronauts in a minute. We're definitely gonna do that. Enema, 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 enema. The ultimate enema. They built a machine the size of a house to give you enemas. Damn, that's some enema right there, huh? Shit rips into you. I can't. I'm sorry.
In February 1946, the U.S. government revealed to the public the existence of a secret computer, which had been developed under the code name Project PX. The computer was called ENIAC, a massive electronic digital computer. Begun in 1943, under the authority of the U.S. Army.
Electronic numeral integration and computed. Developed and constructed by Moore School of Electrical Engineering and the University of Pennsylvania.
The ENIAC was developed at the Moore School of Electrical Engineering at the University of Pennsylvania. The following film is perhaps one of the earliest existing made, citing imperfections and other issues present in the original. In all other respects, it contains 100% of the original film footage and is provided here for historical purpose and computer. It was the world's first large-scale digital electronic general purpose.
They're programming the computer, so you had to wire the computer up for every operation. Every program you wanted to run on it, you'd have to physically wire it up and then turn on the computer, and then it would run the number crunching, and then hopefully you get your output.
This computer. It was designed to be capable of being reprogrammed to solve a large number of numerical problems. ENIAC was conceived and designed by John Mauchly and J. Presper Eckert of the University of Pennsylvania. They headed up a team of engineers and others that worked on the ENIAC project, which began in 1943. The team that worked on the ENIAC included a large number of women who were instrumental in the detailed task of manually programming this giant machine. Programming was accomplished by setting switches and connecting wires according to specific instructions, which were first worked out on paper and then carefully carried out and tested. Mapping the program out on paper took weeks. The task of setting the switches and wiring cables to match the program diagram then took many days to complete. When it was originally designed, there was no written manual on how to program the ENIAC.
So these girls didn't have to go on Reddit and hear some asshole say RTFM because there was no manual.
The women involved in the actual programming of the machine relied on block diagrams and logic diagrams of the machine's operation, as well as personal talks
Oh, punch cards.
with the engineers directly responsible for specific parts of the ENIAC
I actually didn't know they used punch cards in this. I actually didn't know how they got their input output. I just kind of assumed it was all lights.
machine. In 1997, the 6 women who did most of the programming of ENIAC were inducted into the Women in Technology International Hall of Fame.
Today, women in technology means social media coordinator, sending tweets.
In addition to switch panels and wiring panels, ENIAC used an IBM
I'm exaggerating a little bit. We know plenty of women who are skilled at their craft.
punch card reader for input
Hell, Snow made a cool game.
and an IBM card punch machine for
And rewrote the sound stack, the audio stack.
data output. The timing of these machines was synchronized with the operation of the ENIAC itself. The ENIAC was a very large machine. It weighed over 30 tons. The ENIAC had a total of 40 panels and utilized 18,000 vacuum tubes, with 70,000 resistors and
Those lights are totally for show and were not critical to anything. I'm pretty sure this is just for the video.
10,000 capacitors. ENIAC also had its own dedicated power lines. To keep the vacuum tubes from overheating, the room was air-cooled. When ENIAC was announced in 1946, the news media called it a giant brain. Its computing speed was 1,000 times greater than that of electromechanical machines. This computational power, along with its general-purpose programmability, made it a technical marvel of its time. ENIAC's design and construction was financed by the United States Army. The construction contract was signed on June 5, 1943, and work on the computer began the following month. The cost of the ENIAC in 1946 was just under $500,000, which is equivalent to over $6 million today. ENIAC was formally accepted by the U.S. Army in July 1946. ENIAC was temporarily shut down on November 9, 1946, for a refurbishment and a memory upgrade. It was then transferred
They got new RAM.
to Aberdeen Proving Ground, Maryland, in 1947. There, on July 29th,
Aberdeen Proving Ground. So I think this is when they used it for ballistic tables. I'll explain that in a second.
1947, it was turned on and remained in continuous operation until it was powered down on October 2nd, 1955. ENIAC was initially designed to calculate artillery firing tables for the United States Army's Ballistic Research Laboratory. A typical ballistics calculation that previously might have taken 12 hours using a desktop mechanical calculator could now be done in just 30 seconds. The ENIAC's other applications included weather prediction, atomic energy calculations, cosmic ray studies, thermal ignition, random number studies, wind tunnel design, and other scientific uses. Here, output from one of ENIAC's printers is being produced. In this scene, we see brilliant ENIAC designers J. Presper Eckert on the left and John Mauchly on the right. They would continue their involvement in computer design and manufacture far beyond ENIAC. Required Eckert and Mauchly to assign all their patents to the university if they stayed beyond March. Unable to reach agreement with the university, both Eckert and Mauchly left the Moore School in March 1946.
Women in technology, no wits. No wits. No it's all. So, ballistic tables, what are they for?
Up in the director, up in spot 1, you have a spotting officer who controls the director, who's looking through a periscope,
Yeah, so a director is like a periscope, but it's got binocular vision, and they can measure how far away other ships are using optical instruments. They also had a way of doing that with the radar. I think the radar is more useful for plotting the speed at which something was moving, like the speed and heading. And they would use the plotting room here, mechanical computers. So these are mechanical computers. And I think one of the things you could do with something like the ENIAC is make newer plotting computers or update the plotting computers in the future afterwards to like be more accurate. I'm just guessing here, but one of the interesting things about the plotting, and these guys look really rigid, but look how real they look. When you pause the video, these guys look real.
Hit the target.
And then it plays, and you can tell they're just like, if you ever go to a battleship museum, you got guys like this. It's hilarious when you see these guys. It's just so, they look so real, but they're not real. It's like, they look like, I don't know.
But later in the war, when advanced radars appeared, we had another way to spot the shell splashes, which are huge when a battleship fires, hundreds of feet high, and show up very nicely on radar.
Oh my God.
And
wait, that guy's real. I don't think that guy's real. Wait, hold on. Are these guys real? That guy just moved. I thought these guys were fake. Holy shit. I thought they were statues. Is this guy real and this guy's a statue? Or is this guy just standing really still? Now this is freaking me out.
that's seen in these two little radar scopes, one of which is
Oh my God, those guys are real.
fed by, that's seen in these two little radar.
Is that guy real? Is he real? Is this like a real guy and this is a wax sculpture? I thought they were both wax sculptures. Yo, I thought they were wax sculptures. I can show you an example, yo. Like, oh my god. I really thought that was a wax sculpture. I need to find one now. Oh man, oh man, oh man. That was weird. Oh shit. I didn't expect those guys to move. Let's see here. Battleship USS Massachusetts. Plotting room, I guess. No, those guys are real. I'm trying. Oh, CIC. That's what it is. CIC. Combat Information Center. Oh man. Okay. Well, I'm probably not gonna find it right now. But one time I was in one of the rooms on the USS Massachusetts, and it was the room where you have the big glass panel on the wall with the radar on it. And like, you know, it has like a black, not the radar, it has like a diagram, like a map grid, and then someone uses a wax crayon to write onto the glass so that the officers on the other side of the glass panel can kind of like see updated information. And in that room, they had wax sculptures of men. Like, it was a room, you couldn't enter the room. You could look through the glass. They had like plexiglass over the wall, but you could see like the glass on the wall. You could see the wax crayon writing on the wall from the like whatever, you know, situation. I don't know if it's from the last time they used it or if they wrote stuff on there just for, you know, the museum. But it was pretty cool.
Scopes, one of which is fed by the Mark 13 radar and orders that corrections in range and
Yo, this guy better freaking move. Yo, he's freaking me out. He better fucking move. I swear, if this guy doesn't move, I'm gonna find out who he is and write him a letter and tell him next time you're in a video, please turn your head once.
reflection be cranked into the computer.
He's really creeping me out.
The next salvo,
Oh, that's a statue. Wait, did he just blink?
he
Hold
observes
on.
cranked into the computer.
Did he just blink? Is this
Next
guy's eyes
salvo.
moving?
He observes again.
Oh, he moved. He moved. He's real.
until he's on target.
He's not a statue.
At that
I don't think I was a statue. I really thought he was a
Point.
statue. He's really creeping me out.
color,
Okay, he moved again.
you know what for the cage. In other words, it detects when the ship moves, rolls left or right, pitches, is
Right, we're gonna watch one more video. We're gonna watch one more fun video, and we're gonna wrap it up, and we're gonna go raid ours. Battleship, what is it called? Broadside. All right, this is a classic right here. This is a classic. This is USS Interests. That hurt. That hurt. There's actually a good still photograph of that happening. Oh my god, it shook the camera. The tape head on the camera got disrupted by that. The camcorder did not like that at all. So I want to find a video I saw of them firing the 16-inch gun, and it was in the modern era. Yeah, this is the one. It's got the funny music. Okay, so these guys are wearing flash gear. Basically, it ensures they don't get burns on their head or body if something goes wrong. They're loading the shell. Now, sometimes it's an explosive shell. If it's a training shell, it's painted blue. It's got sand on the inside. So it's got a fuse at the end of some kind, and then you load it. So they're going to ram it. So they just ram it in. Now he's going to say to the powder man, get me the powder bags. He needs 6. Now, I think you can load more or less powder bags, more, fewer or more powder bags, depending on how much range you want. Now, this gets relevant to the computational aspect of it. So remember, when you fire a cannon at an angle, it fires in an arc like a rocket, a ballistic trajectory. So now these bags have a propellant on the inside, but they got black powder on the front and back. So the black powder is what kind of ignites the rest of it. I lost my sound. Got it back. Now you're going to get 3 more powder bags. Now they're going to ram in very accurately. I always noticed this guy's got black stuff on the arm. I hope he didn't get in a fire, or maybe someone else wearing this had gotten in a fire. Or maybe that's just the oil. They're being real gentle with it. I think they can load it much faster, but they're probably afraid that they'll accidentally blow it up by over ramming it. Now they lift this up, they're going to close the door. Now look at the door they use. That door, you can't really see it, but it looks like a threaded thing, almost like a bottle cap. And when they turn the mechanism on the handle, I think it like kind of locks into place. Now, before they close the door, there's a guy on the bottom down here. He's the primer man, and he actually like puts some primer inside the hole over here to ensure that the electric thing will detonate it. So there's electric charge, the primer ignites, and then it hits the black powder, and then the propellant goes up, and it pushes your round out the front of that 16-inch barrel. Okay, so now they're tilting the cannon up. The back goes down while the front goes up, so the barrel is pointing up. They're going to give us an exterior view in a second. Okay. So here's the outside of a 16-inch cannon. Okay, so they fired the first barrel. These guys are like a number 2 or number 3. Right there. So watch again. So that big thing on the back of the cannon gets pushed back by the recoil. Because this is attached to the barrel. Then it goes down, it evacuates the gases from the barrel. You can see, there you go, they push the gases out. And then they make sure there's nothing left over. That's the bridge. The guy ducks, covers his ears when that happens. Okay, that was almost a proper broadside. I think a broadside is when you fire all of them at the same time. What they did was they shot 1 cannon per barrel off at a time, which is still 3 barrels at once. Oh no, they're going to do a broadside? I think that's oh, that's not, okay, so they do, you can see 2, 2, 2, but I think there's a third turret. Oh, it's slow motion. Right? And what does that look like? I think we really do have to see what does a 16-inch round impact, or like making a crater. So this is a guy named Ryan Szymanski of the USS New Jersey Museum, and he shows footage from the Vietnam era of the rounds hitting the ground.
Plate, and you see that is a test the U.S. Navy did with their 16-inch guns. They recovered the 24-inch thick
Found it.
faceplate for turret armor, cast but 133 image from a spotting aircraft of a section of jungle in Vietnam, probably in 1969, where Battleship New Jersey has bombarded. And you're going to see some large craters and some small craters. These are from 16-inch and 5-inch rounds. And the large craters have a diameter of up to 50 feet.
There you go.
And a depth of up to 20 feet, which you can sort of make out in the video. From the size, from the height, it's tough to see the scale of it. Sometimes these projectiles were used to defoliate trees to make a helicopter landing pad in the middle of the jungle. And they can blow away trees within about a 200-foot radius. That's the high-capacity round. And defoliate trees out another 300 yards from that, which means that you're going to have a good flat area to land helicopters when you need something in an emergency, and you're going to have some good visibility out beyond that, out to a reasonable range for your M16s, your and troop concentrations and things like that. Now, if it comes to a bunker...
Yeah, right? Trees turn to paper. 10 trees. I think it's more than 10 trees. At least 10 trees, right?
It's not going to destroy it.
And then, okay, let's see. Guy sitting on 16-inch round. So it is a classic picture. And I don't know why it's in color, because it's a black and white picture. I hate when they colorize pictures like this. That pisses me off so much. Oh, I forgot to show something really important. Oh my god. So this picture here is really special to me, because check this out. He's sitting on a 16-inch round that didn't detonate. And, you know, when you're in war, you don't give a fuck. At this point, you are already getting shot at. So what do you care, right? But see this part right here? On a 16-inch round is a brass ring here. It's just a brass ring made of a softer metal than the actual steel jacket or whatever material this is made of. But when it goes through the cannon, the rifling, the grooves, spiral grooves inside the barrel of the cannon compress against that brass ring and kind of mush it. And that's where these rings come from. So inside the cannon barrel, while that thing was exploding and being propelled out, it also grinded against the walls of the barrel, which the harder metal, of course, was able to, you know, make this shape on the brass ring. And as you can see, this brass ring is what imparts spin. You can see there's a slight diagonal line here, or angle, and that allows it to impart spin onto the barrel, so that keeps it very accurate. Now, the plotting room computers on the battleships, they would actually, during the Korean War, those powder bags were a few years old at that point. So the older your powder bags get, the less robust, or the less, you know, powerful they are, I guess you would say, right? Chemically inactive, or whatever you want to say. So they would actually put that into the plotting computer, and that would allow it to take into account the weaknesses or the reduced performance of that powder, so that they still get an accurate shot. You know, and I think maybe it was off by a few feet, but usually like a few feet difference with that accuracy was good enough. Battle of Iwo Jima, on the other hand, was a little tricky, because during the Battle of Iwo Jima, and any battle in World War II where you have a where you have terrain to deal with, so this is not the best copy of the picture. I've had a better copy of this picture. I actually have a high-res copy laying around somewhere. Maybe I can find it. I should wrap up soon. I know it's really late. probably not gonna find that picture right now. Oh, here's this it. Now this is an upscaled version of the image. I have a better copy somewhere. But basically, this was a map that was taken from a Japanese map, and then the Navy updated the map. They put coordinates on it, so soldiers on the ground, if they're calling for fire support, they could actually say, I need fire support on map grid B29 or A20 or A6, whatever number it was. You got elevations here, which helped them to calculate, because without knowing the elevation, you really don't have good accuracy. That ballistic trajectory is way off if you don't take into account topography. And you got Motoyama Airfield right over here. And that's one of the reasons we took Iwo Jima. And you got the Motoyama Airfield number A over here. Apparently airfield number 2. Number A and number 2. Okay, so this is number A and this is number 2. So I guess they decided to change up the numbering to lettering and lettering to numbering there. And you got your colored beaches here: green beach, orange beach. I don't know, is that what that says there? Red beach, red 2, yellow 1, yellow 2, blue 1, blue 2, etc. And you had people on the island kind of marshalling the landing craft, and the people hopefully be at the right beach. So I forgot what else I was going to show. Oh yeah, real quick, let's look at that Japanese astronaut.
すごいよね、そこのトラスみたいなかっこいいね。はい、前澤です。今日は ISS を探検したいと思います。
Today I would like to explore the ISS.
これから皆さん
Today I would like to show you around. First up, the Russian module. A dining table for meals, water server, yada yada yada.
ここにクルークォーター一つ、そしてもう一つこちら、二つのクルークォーターがあって、分かりづらいけど、一個クルークォーターがもう一個あります。なんでロシアモジュールにはサービスモジュールにさっき二つの部屋、それからここに一部屋。ここはベオっていう生活モジュールです。今回6時間のオービット、ローンチからドッキングまで6時間だったんだよね。あー、ちょっと感動。たまに来よう。先にあります。で、これはもう俺が乗ってきたソユーズじゃないから、ちょっと軽くしか入りませんが、ちょっとだけ入ってみます。そっち行くとね、持ってここ、まあちょっとだけ入ってみます。
So that's a Soyuz spacecraft that's docked at the bottom. I think the re-entry capsule is this part here. And that's the service module that gives it air and water and stuff like that. But he came from the Russian section. Where's the Russian section? I think it's over here. I think this is the Russian area, if I remember correctly. Apparently, that's a supply craft. It's an unmanned Soyuz that carries cargo. Let's see here. Where's the Japanese? This is the Japanese section. This is Kibo and the Japanese logistics module. This is that little window called the cupola. It's that round circular window. But yeah, anyway, I'm not going to dive into this too deeply. I just thought I'd share that. And I'm glad you always learn something new watching my stream. I don't know if there's any interest in watching a Japanese astronaut climbing around the space station, but I could drop this link in the chat if there's any interest there. Oh wait, there is one thing. Oh, is that a toilet?
2つついてます。こんな感じでね。で、今ピョートルロシアの宇宙飛行士がやってますけど。
Okay, check this out. This is the Japanese section of the space station Kibo, but Kibo is full of equipment racks. But before they first launched it, they didn't have any equipment in the Kibo module yet. So this is a module that is really big. So when you go in the middle of it, you can actually put yourself in the middle where you can't touch the wall. Oh man, there's too many people in here. They're just happy to have room. This is not the picture I wanted to find. I wanted to find the one. There's a video of a guy in the middle, unable to move. Like he's like waving his arms like a bird, and he can barely move. This is it. Damn it, this is not it. Is it? Oh, this is it. Yeah, there you go. Look, check this shit out. So you got the guy in the middle, and see, like, he can't grab anything. He's just stuck in the middle there. But if he had, like, some cardstock paper, he could probably flap his wings, right? But what was cool was that move he just did. Look at that. He used inertia to rotate himself like a Zaku. So you could do that. You can still rotate yourself. It's just really tricky, see? This is way bigger than the vomit comet. So any flat earther who says that this, is done on the, gravity plane, the plane that simulates no gravity, by flying up and down, basically, it's like this is way bigger than the vomit comet, and they'll probably say, "Oh, they used green screen." So I thought it was kind of cute. I just thought it was kind of funny. So yeah, let's see if ours is still streaming, huh? Ours is dressed as a K-pop idol today. No, okay, Logan looks like a K-pop idol, a male idol. Do they have male idols? Is that how that works? Oh, look, he put my stream link in the chat. That's nice of him. So yeah, Aris218. Let's raid Aris. Snow, thank you for hanging around. From the bottom of my heart and the bottom of the chat, I want to thank Snow, Lou the Gamer Overrated Pro, LCX, Slimnim, Renee, Nicholas, Awesome One, Real Wade Nation Gaming Clips, Lady Mist. Did I say Slim M? I said Slim M. RS218, Nintendo Vaults. I feel bad for those people on the top floors of the building who's... oh yeah, we read that. That was good. Salty Traveling Sea. It was great seeing him, man. He's always a good time. He's got a good channel, too. I mean, he really only goes on YouTube. So Salty's an interesting fellow. He only posted on YouTube to get better at video editing and DJ Play Nice. And he's got quality editing. So yeah, you can take some pointers from the guy if you ever want to get better at editing. Just check out his shit and emulate it, I guess, right? Let's check that 3D printer one more time. So as you can see, oh shit, look at this, look at that, look at that. Wait, what? Look over here. That's not good. That's not good. That's not good. Look at that. We had a part tip over. See that? So this is exactly the kind of thing you got to watch out for on these 3D printers. Either the nozzle was too close to the bed or too far from the bed, or I made a mistake telling the printer to print too fast. So how do I manage this? Well, we're not going to do it on camera, but I'll give you guys the quick version. Who am I kidding? We'll do it on camera. So the quick version. When we tell the printer to do something, you can actually tell it down here to do a number of layers slowly. So initial layer print speed is 20 millimeters a second. Initial layer travel speed, 100 millimeters a second. Number of slow layers. So I'd say we want to do maybe like at least, maybe like, I don't know, maybe like 5 slow layers at 20 millimeters a second. So that you get like a few good layers in there where it's not doing it, doing it slowly. And so, there's different ways to adjust this, but that's basically what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell it to print the bottom layer slowly. Also, as an experiment, I should probably tell it to print at half speed and then crank up the speed mid-print, maybe? Or maybe I should just do this. Finish printing the Enterprise that I was already printing. So, originally what I was going to do is I was going to basically tell it to print the Enterprise NX-01 in pieces. So, for instance, I already printed the top half of the sources section. So, what I could do is I think that's the bottom of the sources section. Yeah. So only problem is I don't remember what size or scale I used. I think I actually put a note on Google Notes. 180%. So basically, we're going to tell this to print at 180%. And then no supports, no extra material. And maybe we'll print out other parts like of the ship separately. So we can print out maybe like, let's see, that's 2 hours of printing. So in other words, that'll be ready by morning. So maybe we print this out too. So get that printed. We can actually just take this, move it up on the bed, and so on and so forth. So I would tell it to print this and this, like that. So that's the gist of it. So with that being said, I'll figure out the rest. I'm just gonna remotely initiate the printer. So I'm gonna go back downstairs, remove the thing from the printer bed, see if the cat ate the food, and take it from there. So anyway, once again, everyone, thank you for tuning in. If you have any questions, comments, ideas, or concerns, please leave a comment. And for now, we shall end transmission on my